Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRCDJLIVE.
Back after a full week off from all sorts of things of DJing and virtual reality. It's nice to take some time away. It's nice to take time for yourself and to kind of, get back into the gist of things, especially during convention time when it always seems like you're the busiest. And then wouldn't you know it, after several days of convention and also being in virtual reality too, you're going to need a break. You need some time to kind of go smell the air, go touch the grass and sleep. That's one of those very untalked about things in virtual reality, is the fact that we need sleep. So welcome back to VRCDJ Live. I'm your host, Rob Roman, and if you're brand new here to the program, after several months of the program happening, we talk about everything within the VRChat DJ community, whether it's clubs or events or actual DJs or VJs in this particular case, and also too, huge conventions. And I know we've been kind of talking about it back and forth, and I don't want to announce it too soon, because last year it seemed like there was a thing that had happened during Furality that everybody was all. It was like Furality weekend last year, and then it just seemed like the servers went down or something, and then we were all like, oh, it was the furries broke VR chat. And it wasn't that, of course. So I'm sure there was just some minor little adjustments here and there, but very fun to be able to bring that down. But I want to be able to welcome in our guests this week. They are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creating immersive virtual reality experiences and fostering connections within the furry fandom, known as the world's largest virtual reality furry convention, featuring over 26,000 attendees, and believe it or not, has already raised over $22,000 for Resilient Hearts Animal Sanctuary, a charity saving animals from high kill shelters and uniting them with their forever homes. Please welcome to the VRC DJ Live studios, Razr and Valant of Furality. Guys, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Hey, there we go. See, finally the warm welcomes have been received, and see, that's mostly on my end, because of the fact that, as much as I know computers and technology, I feel like everybody goes through that, where they're just like, wait a minute, hold on, it is live. I wish everything kind of worked on the same thing, but which will kind of lead us into what you guys got going on. Obviously Furality is happening this week, and with everything kind of going on, working a convention isn't as simple as a lot of people believe it is, and especially for the fact that you're taking lots of months and lots of time and lots of different things. And where you guys at currently? What's the week before Furality looking like for you guys? Do you take a little bit of a break, or what's going on?
No, we are in crunch mode for sure. It's so much work goes on behind the scenes, and we start the beginning of the process back in November, I think.
November, yep, that's correct.
Yeah.
On the club side, right? Because there's everything from you have to put out DJ applications, right? You have to start, we'll get into it more later, right? Selecting DJs. Then you have to put on a production with them. You have to promote them, and there's over 300 staff now on the Furality team that make that experience happen. It takes a lot of people to make that.
I would only assume that those 300 people didn't just come out of thin air after year one, but at the same time, the development of Furality, which I want to get into a little bit later too, because I think that part's as equally important. There have been conventions that have been going on in virtual reality. We've seen them succeed, and then I think after a couple of years, they kind of dwindled down because it's too much for them, or maybe not enough attendance or not enough want to be a part of that. But how have you been able to see some of that process? I feel like every convention that has happened, there's always another person that's just like, I want to be involved. I want to volunteer. Are there even perks of volunteering? I know that some conventions there are perks of volunteering. So maybe Valant, you can kind of get into it a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a big topic too, right? How do you build community? Because that's That's what Club Fin is really about, right? It's a venue, yes, it's a venue for DJs, VJs, LDs, and producers alike to all showcase their talents. And they're all a team, right? They put that on together to create that experience. And what happens, and especially in you see this in the DJ scene a lot, those DJs that perform, they inspire other people to play. Those people start to participate. They're like, hey, I want to get involved. How do I do that? Right. And then it becomes this snowball effect, right? And it's been that way with DJs ever since the beginning. I remember being really inspired in Furality. It was just Furality. I don't think there was even a theme that year. I wasn't involved yet. But then the people that performed there, that DJ'd, inspired more people to play. So you see that a lot happening, and this is something that Razr and I talk about a lot, is how do we inspire that community to grow organically, right? And then number two, there are perks too. Like, attendance is one of the things. There's a lot of cool camaraderie that we have in a lot of the teams. Like AV team's been working really hard together, wrapping up sets, working on sets. The Cam Ops team has been working together. They're providing 24-hour coverage. I believe there's over 60 people in that team alone to make that happen from all over the globe, right? They're a global team. I almost said universal. We're not quite that big yet. But so it's really cool to see that community grow and be a part of that.
Razr, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'll chime in. I mean, and that's just Club Fin alone. Furality is a whole convention that Club Fin resides inside of. So we have we have dealers, we have 3D artists, 2D artists, we have performances, like live music performances, people that sing, people that dance, video showcases for videographers, things like that. It's a huge festival, and there's so many teams involved, like you said, 300 people at this point, but it didn't start that way. It started much smaller, on a smaller scale, and it actually started kind of during COVID. I think that's really what kicked it off, was COVID happening and nobody being able to do anything and everyone being stuck at home. So we actually had 2 Furalities a year for a while, until things got back in motion in the real world, and we couldn't keep up with that. And the way that it's been growing, like, there's no way we could do 2 in 1 year anymore. But it's definitely exploded. Like, that snowball effect is real for volunteers, for people who perform and bring their art to it as well.
I know we're gonna really dive into it, and it's so fascinating to me because while I've been on the back burner of fur fandom for the longest time, just kind of very timid about it, and like obviously you see a lot of people on social media being like, I pumped in tons of money into fursuits, and even traveling. People don't recognize how expensive it can be to travel with your fursuit with all the different luggages and stuff too. Yeah. Like, I see it all the time. I'm just like, do I really want to be a part of this? But at the same time, and like, it's one thing to go to a convention, it's one thing to see things online, and it's another thing to kind of continue to have those conversations. But having Furality, again, as a product of COVID, we see it from time and time again when we have a lot of guests in here. There's just like a lot of things sparked that inspiration and motivation to be able to put something this massive together. And obviously no one really plans for something to grow this large over a shorter amount of time, even though it could have been like 6 or 7 years, give or take, minus the meme, of course. But like, the fact of like being able to describe all of this in real time. And I think there's still a lot of people that either are super hesitant of going to a fur convention just because of whatever could happen. Like, a lot of things have what was it? Don't eat the hallway pizza. That's what I always hear. So it's just, it's stuff like that. Like, it's one of those things, like, even in virtual reality, like, if you come in here, you're just like, oh, I hope I don't run into proximity chat. And then you're just spending all of your time looking for a proximity chat. At the same time, you don't need to look for proximity chat. You can just experience it the way that you're supposed to. You're not supposed to look for the hallway pizza, but you should be hesitant of it once you see it, of course. So there's a lot of. I feel like you guys have had experience of this, right?
I mean, I feel like it's the furry fandom is a subculture, just like any other subculture. You could take the same overlay and put it over, the Star Wars fandom, any other fandom doing this kind of stuff, and if you look for cringy shit, you're gonna find it. People are doing nasty, cringy shit all over the place. It's not just us; it's the same stuff happening everywhere. And it's just honestly to most of us just a fucking meme we all laugh at when shit like that happens.
I'm really
just like in
glad.
the real world, just like normal people, you see stuff on, the news or online all the time. It's just, funny.
I'm really glad you brought up the Star Wars fandom, because this was the first year that because I live in Central Florida, that I went to May the 4th at Hollywood Studios, and I've always wanted to avoid it. Like I know, or I thought I knew, but holy smokes, like you got people not only there for like a whole week dressed up as Jedis, but like they will go to Hollywood Studios all week just to walk around as Jedis and be a part of that, like as if they were a part of the lore. Now I can't say that furs walk around furry conventions being a part of the lore, but there are some people that, they're more of a content creation side of it, and they're like, hey, I'm here. Like PB, for example, you'll see PB walking around doing interviews and doing silly things. Or what's his name? Astra, who's does the funny interviews. Everybody wants to be able to run into them, and do the funny thing with them, but oh my gosh, those Star Wars fans, whole nother level. And then like they're gonna train their kids the way that the movies are. They're just like, my young Padawan. I'm not saying that like furs are gonna have their cubs with them and just be like, you are gonna learn the way. But it's just like at the same time, it's like you got to get the people that haven't been to these conventions a little bit more excited about that, more attention to it, because it's just like, if you think that you're going to roll up in there knowing as much as you do, guess what? It's time to get educated. Ring the bell. But VRCDJLIVE, we're sitting here with Razr and Valant of Furality, and we got the mic set up correctly this time, of course. That's my fault, of course. But it is a live program, and we're going to be sitting here for a couple of hours breaking down all the things that Furality is going to be accomplishing in the next week and the weekend leading to it, and answering your questions live on chat as well. For those people that are in chat, you're more than welcome to engage yourself by asking questions, whether it pertains to the DJing side of things, which we are going to be bringing up. I've been hearing about it from time to time, where people will be like, oh, you get to apply for Furality? Oh, I didn't make it this year. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my gosh, we're going to have to ask these questions and get these answers. So, it's upsetting to a lot of people. Yeah, it's upsetting to a lot of people. And we really want to, ask those questions to get those answers, especially to build better morale and better hope, because in my eyes, it's like, if that doesn't work, you put in an application. By the way, as we've been alluding to all this time, is that not every application is meant to go through in your favor. Like, you're supposed to find some bad news from time to time, and then you have to learn how to deal with that. That's the entertainment business. It's not a matter that Furality doesn't want you, but at the same time, they don't have enough time to be able to explain what had happened, or put it in words that you will accept. So like, this is the time to be able to break that down and talk a little bit about it. And of course, here on the program too, we like to break down the idea of like what you need to do correctly to submit a DJ mix or promote yourself. A lot of people don't do self-promotion very well in here, and it's just on their own accord because they're like, well, somebody will hopefully do it later on. But lots to talk about, and I'm already coughing because I need some hydration. Wouldn't you know it? Let's talk about your roles within Furality before we start digging in. If Razr, you want to go ahead and start that.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the DJ coordinator, or the DJ team lead at Furality. I handle, managing all the applications as they come in. I have an awesome team of judges who work with me and help me score all of those applications and demos and listen to all of that. And then I'm responsible for putting the lineup together and choosing that final set of DJs who are going to be playing for the year. I also do, a little bit of feedback. So, contrary to popular belief, we do actually provide feedback to DJs as well. Once they get, their email, whether it's accepted or rejected, you are able to reply to that email. And if you would like feedback on your specific demo, we're happy to get that to you. It does take us a little while, obviously, because we're working on the convention, but that will be coming this year. I know people are waiting on it right now who have asked, but I do handle that as well.
I was going to say, how tricky is it that people kind of recognize you now, and then you also have this role that people will approach you asking you about specific things? Is it tricky for you, for someone who has to listen to all of the applications and reply, and even with your team, is it tricky from time to time?
I don't know if tricky is the right word. I think some people might feel intimidated by me now, that may not have been, but there's really no reason for that. But I do have to field, a lot of questions about the process, but I'm totally happy to do so.
I feel like it's kind of the same situation as like when VRChat goes down, we always blame Tupper. It's just like, oh, it's Tupper's fault because that's going to go. The same thing with Furality. It's like, oh, I didn't get the Furality, and then it's just like someone's banging down your door. It's like, Razr, why won't you let me in? And you're just like, leave me alone. Just give me a pizza.
Yeah,
Slide another door.
It's tough, especially I'm a DJ. I've been a DJ in the fandom. I've been a DJ in VR for longer than I've been doing this role here. And a lot of these people are my peers and my friends. And I have to, I can't accept all of my friends. I don't do it that way. So it is. It's heart-wrenching sometimes because I know how important it is to a lot of these people. But it comes with the territory.
Yeah, and obviously too, as we keep alluding to back and forth constantly, is that like within the entertainment business, it either really works out or there's always time for improvement. And for a lot of people that are in here, and a lot of our guests have been realizing that too, it's just like one of the things that's so fascinating about all of this is just like the process to being either a professional or knowing what you're doing. It takes a long time, like a very long time. And I think that's undermining. I've been thinking a little bit about this too recently, how a lot of people believe that maybe after 3 or 4 months that that honestly, like everyone loses faith after 3 or 4 months because they're just like, well, I'm never going to make it, yada, yada. But it's never just about that short amount of time to be able to say, hey, I've done it. But like being able to also be like, okay, how much more can I change? How much better can I get? How much easier can it get? And the same thing goes with performing as a DJ. Like you're going to mess up several times, but after about a year, like give it a whole year, and you'll know exactly what you need to do. If someone's talking to you, the transition effects, stuff like that. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I got to wait a whole year, but it makes the most sense that when you kind of put a little bit more effort and time into it. So same thing goes with like, listening to sets too. It's just like, are people understanding what to do? Do they realize the things that they need to get done with that? A lot of little questions to throw in there, but again, everybody has their own threshold of bad news. Like after one bad news, everyone's like, "Oh no, I'm terrible, blah blah blah, leave me alone." And it's just like, no, that's not it. Like we'll talk about it, but obviously, yeah. Valant's ready to kind of talk about your role.
Oh no, talk about myself. I'm Valant. I'm the club director for Furality. So basically, so I used to have Razr's role starting with Luma up until, was it Umbra? I think it was up until Umbra.
And then that was my first one.
Yeah. And then I moved into the club director role after that. And basically my responsibility is just to basically build the policies and the procedures for the club, right? To take a look at the club, see what the mission, the vision, the values of the club is, and kind of we'll also listen to feedback within the department about like, where are we, what do we want to be, right? And what do we need to do to get there? And a lot of just there's a lot of administrative stuff in there too. I can't help myself though. I love to actually get in there and do things too. I was a video editor for quite a while as well. I listened to a lot of the DJ applications as well. I've been involved in the DevOps side as well. I've had all sorts of hats at Furality over the years. It's just really fun. It gives me a lot of satisfaction to do this kind of work, hearing about all the really good things that come out of this, right? I hear about my friends meeting their significant others, their lifelong friends at the convention, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. I want to be a part of that.
Now I'm going to ask you kind of the golden question out of all this, and you kind of alluded to it again too. Like even in virtual reality, we've been seeing it from time to time where people start dating, and then they go get married, and then they have kids, and then like either they're like, well, VR chat is a time in the past, but we want to make sure that it's still a part of our lives somehow. And I have a couple of friends that have been through that too, where now they have kids. It's like they can't come in here at all because they got to hang out with their kids. But in your eyes, out of all of the time that you've spent within Furality, and even just seeing how fur conventions have been massively growing little by little every year, what does it kind of mean for you to be a part of this? And like, where does the future in your mind, where do you see the future of all of this kind of heading to? Because I feel like a lot of people, besides the hesitations of going to convention, they want to learn more about it and be a part of it.
Ooh, yeah. So from my perspective, conventions, be they VR or IRL, I don't see them as vacations. From my perspective, they're pilgrimages. And that sounds a little weird at first, but what that really means is that like a vacation, you cut a vacation if you can't afford it. Furries do not cut vacation, or do not cut conventions. They'll do what they have to do to make ends meet to attend these things. I've seen friends say like, I don't care. You can't afford the room. I don't care. Come, just I want you to be a part of this experience, to have a great time. And it's the same way that ties into the hardship program as well, right? We don't want to exclude our friends and our family, or even potential friends, from sharing in this experience, and that's why the hardship program exists. So I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I mean, from my perspective, the world's a crazy place, right? There's a lot of things going on right now, and it's amazing to have those periods of time where we don't have to we kind of get out of reality, right? We get to experience these really cool spaces that we craft, and we get to do all these things.
Oh,
I am so sorry.
it's like a moment of zen
we're
there
back.
for a moment. Yeah. If we want to go ahead and be like, and we're back, but no, there's a moment of
There
zen
we
coming
go.
back here.
Sorry about that.
The storm cloud went through.
Quest-
We were going through a tunnel. Yeah.
Quest
Yeah.
Pro updated, and I'm still getting used to it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So I don't foresee this space going away anytime soon. I went to my first convention in 2009. It was TFF. It was the first con that I ever went to. There wasn't even a theme that year. It was in Dallas off of Midway, and I didn't know anybody. Oh, okay, this is a crazy story. I went into Walmart. I was kind of on the fence about going to a convention because I'm like, man, free, I don't know. That's kind of weird, but like I kind of like this thing online. I'm part of Second Life. I know some furries are pretty cool, but do I, make the jump? No joke. I go to Walmart, I go inside, I'm thinking about this. I come back to my car and I walk out to my car. There's a lanyard sitting in front of my driver's side door on my car. And I just stand there looking at it. And I'm like, well, shit, I guess I'm going. So I still have that lanyard. It's hanging up on my wall. Like,
So did you at least know the person that was giving you that, or they just kind of gifted it to you?
No, it's just on the ground. No clue how it got there.
Oh.
No clue. So
Just a sign.
there was the sign. There's like, you should go. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going. So ever since like I made that plunge, like it starting out, it was kind of, for use lack of a better term, it felt cringe at the beginning, but then I kind of found my people, I found my crew, and now I really enjoy these experiences because like I have a day job, right? I'm a software developer, so I sit in this chair for 10 hours a day. But like when I log off, I get to do really fun, stuff. I get to hang out with my friends. I get to hang out with DJs and do all these really cool things, right? So I don't I don't see that experience going away anytime soon, right? People are going to want to escape that reality in some form, and I think conventions really help them do that.
I think the best way of saying is that we all need a sense of play. And especially right now, I think a lot of people are looking for that escape to go out and play, have a good time. Obviously, and like maybe we'll feed into this concept a little bit later too, but we were talking with our recent guests about how the new generation is having a hard time going to clubs and going to bars because they're going to go and they're going to socialize, but they don't dance. They don't dance anymore. They don't act silly anymore because from what I've learned is that they're not dancing. They're not acting silly because they know that everyone has cameras on their phones and they don't want to look cringe. Which
Yeah,
is a
I've heard
really
about that.
yeah, it's a really weird concept to think about. And like I've been thinking a lot about it. I've been looking into it recently, and there's nothing that can remedy that besides being like, listen, go and have a good time. Be a little silly, but they're also worried about their future careers. That they, for some reason, that they were to
Exactly.
Google their name and then they see it, and then they just see a stupid, like drunk, passed out photo of themselves, like on the ground somewhere that they're not supposed to be. It's just like, oh, what a headache. But at the same time, yeah. But I think again, like you were saying, it's not really a vacation. It's just a sense of play. It's a time to play, and the same thing goes with the fur fandom. Anyway, it's not just for the fur conventions. You go to a regular pop culture convention or an anime convention. I from time to time too. I'm a mid 30-year-old man. I'm bald. I fit that demographic, but at the same time, I have to think about it too because I'm just like, wait a minute. I enjoy anime. I enjoy Hatsune Miku. I'm walking down an aisle where there's a bunch of Dakis up on the wall, and I'm like, am I in the
Yeah.
right place? Am I having a good time with this? But at the same time, that's just it too. The way you were explaining, and I want to dive into it real quick while we have the moment, is you were explaining how you were hesitant at one of your first shows that you wanted to go to. And I know that's a really heavy topic for a lot of people that are looking to get into the fandom. They're looking to communicate. But in my particular case too, is when you're learning so early on, that social battery is very limited. And you tend to escape to your hotel room because you're just like, this is too much, or maybe they don't like me. It's like dating, I guess, but everyone's in a massive fur outfit. So what was it like for you to try to learn how to socialize compared to the newest person nowadays looking to go to convention and being a little intimidated over the fact that everybody has their own little groups?
Yeah, and you gave me a perspective I hadn't even thought of before. Like that it has changed so much. Like when I was 2019, I'm kind of outing my age here. I'm in my late 30s. But like I mean, we had the internet, but you weren't nearly as connected then as you are now, right? And furry at the time to me was, from my perspective, it was a little bit more underground. Like Second Life was probably the main place that you would kind of go if you wanted to hang out. I mean, I'm sure there's others like Furcadia and other. That was probably before even me my time. Uh, Club Penguin. Actually, no, that's not. That's just Penguin. But they, so it was very different in that time because it was a lot less accessible because, and again, this is just from my perspective, right? It was something that was a bit less acceptable, right? It's something that they were kind of perceived furries as like not necessarily being as like socially outgoing. That has changed completely since now. Like a lot of the people that I meet and talk to, especially in VR, right? VR is like supercharging people's practice and interacting and social ability, right? I had trouble looking at people in the eyes when I started. Now it's just like, I mean, I have eye tracking now too. I have to. I can't do that. So it's changed that connectivity. I could see how that would make somebody very concerned about opening up, and being themselves in those spaces, which is really, in my mind, kind of concerning because that's what the space is designed to do. It's designed to allow people to open up and be themselves in the space, right? Explore, well, things like explore even what they like, who their identity is, their sexuality, all sorts of things that carry them through their lives, and they're better people for having those things too. There's a really good survey. The name evades me. I think it's the Furry survey, and they have a lot of good information about the demographics of furries as they like just join the fandom, or it's all self-reported, right? They're surveying furries at conventions, and they give them just information, and then they publish it on the website. So it's the thing to me, if I were starting that all over and I were in that space, the one cool thing about being so connected is that you can at least build those connections with other people, and you have all these different options to do it, right? I could message, maybe I'm shy, and I could message to my friend and kind of be more open in my typing. You could get in a VR, and then we could have this actual like meaningful, not to say that text isn't meaningful, but this really deep interaction with my friends. And then we could meet up IRL and realize that, well, Razor's just the same person. He's not a big red dragon IRL, but we hang out with each other, IRL. And it's like, he's the same person here than he is in real life, and that's a very powerful tool to have. So while people may be, more shy about it, like, lean into the tools, right? I think you'll figure it out.
I also know that, again, the way you were saying it, that the space has kind of evolved into this artistry and being able to do music and visual arts and being able to host panels and stuff like that. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about what Furality this year is going to be bringing. But I feel like last year we had Somnum, right? And that from what we've been seeing in the virtual reality space, I think everybody that didn't go to it saw the videos on it and we're like, this whole thing. And then every attendee that was a part of it was like you should have been there. It was this huge dream sequence and we were on clouds and we were over here doing this, that, and the other thing. And I'm over here going, man, that sounds fun. But kind of leading into the idea, and I'm going to throw it for both of you, and we'll probably start with Razr on this one, is let's just say, because meeting someone physical in a physical convention, it can be a little bit more daunting than it is virtual reality wise. I feel like in VRChat, you can be you could dress how you want, represent yourself that you want, but also find likeness within community and likeness of, like, again, I like Hatsune Miku. So if I see a Miku, I'm all over that. I'm like, let's hang out, let's be friends. And the same thing with the fur community too, because I identify as a gray wolf. So I see a gray wolf, I'm gonna go hang out with them and have a good time with it. But
Nice.
Let's just say that someone's going to Furality this year, and I would say let's make this really difficult for you. Outside of panels of interested topics that people could like, how else should people converse with themselves and socialize at Furality this year?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely take that. Like, obviously, first of all, what if I told you I just saw, like, last year, a fursuiter who was dressed up like Hatsune Miku. So it
I
was literally
actually, I think it
a
was.
fursuit
I think it
happening.
was recent that they did a likeness competition, and there was a fursuit Miku, I guess you could call him,
Yeah.
and they ended up getting first place as like the most liked character of the Hatsune Miku like fandom or something like that, because they're all canon. But like I've
Amazing.
seen them all the time, and like then not only that, but then they have the rest of the characters too, the rest of the Vocaloids as fursuiters too. And I'm just like, let's go, let's get them all in the same room, let's get them to sing a song, let's get them to dance. Like, come on, like we got to continue on with this. But I'm really happy that that was able to be focused and people enjoyed that.
Yeah, talk about worlds colliding, right? Um, just to answer your question though, there's a lot of other spaces in Furality outside of, the meetups. Obviously, you can look at the schedule and be like, yes, I'm into this. Everyone here is going to be into this. But there's a lot of public hangout spaces in Furality that you can just go hang out and meet people in. And like all the spaces, the world designers do such a good job with making them just fun to hang around in. There's a lot of like props and like chill spaces and things like we're used to in VR just kind of like sprinkled throughout the whole thing. So even if you're in the dealer's den, you're looking at people's little dealer garages with all of their art and the things that they want to sell. There's cool hangout places in there, and it's a really nice atmosphere. But then obviously, we have Club Fin, which is the biggest recommendation I would have to find commonality under music. Everybody, even if EDM is not your thing, everybody's there to have a good time. Everyone's hanging out and dancing and partying and just laughing. And it's only a matter of time before you're going to run into some people that you see just shooting the shit and joking or throwing emojis or whatever. You'll find commonality. Furries are no different than everybody else. We just look like animals sometimes, but don't be shy to just go in and hang out in some of those public spaces and wander around and see who you find. A lot of people are very approachable and very friendly.
I think it's also kind of cheaper to get a model in here than it is to get an actual physical one that you may either outgrow or have to get tailored and stuff like that, which
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. From somebody who has worn a fursuit in real life. I and funny story, I've they dated themselves, so I'll date myself a little. I'm in my 30s as well. My first furry convention was '07. And so I've been in the fandom for a while, and I don't even own my own fursuit. I never have. So I'm one of those people, you don't have to have that. Everyone nowadays thinks you don't go to a furry convention until you've already got your fursuit locked down. You have all this A, B, and C, and then you're gonna have fun. No, you don't need all that. You can have plenty of fun without all of that. And it's not a big deal. But yeah, from someone who has I've hijacked my friends' fursuits quite often, and I love doing that, and it's really fun. It You get the same sensation in VR chat when you're here as you do when you're first sitting, except it's a lot less hot and you don't grow out of it, and you can say, I don't feel like being a dragon right now, I'm gonna snap my fingers and be a dog, or I'm gonna be Hatsune Miku, whatever. So we're really actually pretty spoiled with the VR space. It's crazy.
Where do you guys kind of see? I mean, obviously, with Furality itself, it's growing every year and getting a lot of attention. And we'll dive more into like the numbers of it and stuff like that. But how are people approaching the idea of a paid convention in here? It always seems that subscriptions in virtual reality can be a pain. There's always some sort of a paywall coming into play, and I'm gonna say the nasty words that everyone hates, but it's the same thing as like, when are DJs gonna have ticketed events? When are clubs having ticketed events? And will that become a norm? Obviously, with the system of being able to ask for tickets because of hardship, that's a thing. But a lot of people, I mean, they'll chime in because they know Furality works. I think the people that have gone to Furality, they understand it, but they know that there's no difference between a regular convention and the VR type of convention. Kind of break that down a little bit about that, because there's still a lot of hesitation within people that come into VR chat alone saying, what do you mean I have to buy a ticket to come in here? But but being able to also recognize that an IRL convention, they know what that is because they put a lot of money into it, but maybe there's some hesitation with a VR convention. Valant, did you want to take that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it isn't so the stigma is not as common nowadays because I think that people our age and younger are growing aware of the fact that like if it's free, you're the product, right? And that's the case with, just Facebook or any of those social media sites or anything, right? Is that you're using that and they're providing that service for free, but the cost is your data, right? And it's not that I'm saying that Furality does that with data, but the point is that these things cost money, right? The bandwidth that we publish what the bandwidth I believe that we use every year is during closing ceremonies, and it's literally terabytes of data just for the streaming services. Event stream, the club. There's club in the world. There's club out to Mixcloud. There's the Twitch stream, and bandwidth is expensive. Like a big Twitch streamer on a single stream, that stream, people don't realize this. That stream could cost Twitch $100,000, but they're making that money on like subscriptions and bits and other things, right? They have their business model figured out. And so a lot of that complexity and cost, I think, is transparent to a user sometimes that shows up in VRChat to a convention and says, well, why does it cost money for me to go to Furality? And it's because we have all these servers. We have a world class. The DevOps team at Furality is better than the one at my job, like by far. They're incredible, all of them. And some of the assets need to be produced as well. That's there's talented artists that are creating that. The worlds have to be created. That takes a lot of time. That is a year-round activity made by a team, a very dedicated team that basically doesn't rest, right? So it's a lot. It's a lot more affordable than like say flying. There's a lot less physical things that we have to deal with. We don't have to have volunteers that or like on security in the physical space. We don't have contracts with hotels, and things like that. But we do have assets, and the worlds have to be created, and they have to be created by a talented team. That's what the cost covers.
It's good to be able to hear that too, because from time to time, virtual reality users and people in here they failed to remembe that if they want a custom avatar, if they want a custom world created, you go to a professional that knows how to do that, because they've learned all that time for all the tips and tricks and how to put it all together, and then also try to figure out a good time frame for all of that too. You can learn it on your own, but it's going to take a bajillion million years. You should see me in Minecraft right now, because I'm learning Minecraft right now. But within 3 days, I'll know how to craft a stone axe, when in 3 days somebody else over there knows how to do magic, and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, are you kidding me? I didn't grow up on it, so it's just like I'm learning from simple tools. But the same thing goes
making
to
the redstone computer.
Oh yeah, like that. See, I wouldn't have never known that. I learned that you can make copper chests. I didn't know that was a thing. And then I just came into a witch the other day, and I'm upset about the witch. But that's beyond me. So the same thing goes again, and I'm glad you were able to bring up the idea of being able. You don't need to fly. You don't need a hotel. You don't need to save all your money for that, and you could literally be staying at home. And that is something that is so unique that I think a lot of people take out of context within virtual reality. Is just being able to do that. Is being able to be like, listen, maybe you are physically impaired. Maybe you aren't be able to travel a lot. You can put on a headset and join literal people all over the world for this sort of stuff. The only thing non-physical is spending your physical money at the dealer's den, and then have to travel home with tons of luggage full of stuff that you either need or you don't need. It's just so you're still going to do that anyway on the internet. I think a lot of people use Amazon. I use Amazon a lot when I'm getting stuff at the house. But like introducing that concept and being able to tell people about all of this is just as important as anything else as a hobby that is being put into here as well. Same thing as the DJs, same thing as the world creators and the avatar creators. And again, getting the fancy computer to run it all. Obviously, there's the unspoken meme of VR being like, well, VRChat is free and Unity is free and Blender is free, but now you got to spend $2,000 on all the cool stuff so you can look cool. You get full body. The first thing you do is lay down. Like we already know all of that, but like the people that are they're gonna learn about it when the Steam frame comes out. Let me tell you something. They're gonna be like, how can I fully power myself to lay in bed and look cool? But introducing that idea and revisiting it from time to time. Again, if you were to go on Google and ask them like what is the biggest virtual reality furry convention out there, Furality is going to be front page, no doubt. That's what happened with me when I was searching for it. And being able to understand that concept, of course, you do want to go to a physical one, but for those people that are wanting a little bit of a more of an oomph to it, there is some validity to it. And that's kind of something that we're going to be leading into with the DJs as well, because if you are a little upset that you aren't able to play it for Furality, guess what? That's valid. That's valid that you're upset about it, because number one, Furality is starting to kind of pick up its paces as being a real legit convention doing real legit things. But it's also an added service to your resume as a DJ to say, hey, I've performed for, again, so many amount of people that are coming into virtual reality alone, to be able to kind of take care of that sort of stuff. Again, it's VRCDJLIVE. We got lots to talk about today, so we're kind of tossing the ball a little bit with Razr and Valant here from Furality, and obviously we're gonna be getting into the meat potatoes of it. I did write down something that I wanted your opinion on. It was a little silly, but I know from time to time I see it from PB's streams whenever he goes to either FWA or any other fur convention. He always looks out for all of the different variations of fur. Whether it be the robot ones, I can't remember their names. I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I can't remember. The protogens, yeah, the protogens.
Yeah.
So like those ones are a very popular one, and then there's the OGs that kind of come in, and then you have the carpet furs, and then you got all these people that are coming in. What are your thoughts on the ever growing popularity of new upcoming fur models, even in VR? I know that there was one fur base that everyone literally had in 2025, and then they just customized. Yeah. Again, I don't remember the name off the top of it. I have a Zoichi model from way back in the day, or a gosh, I forgot what they were actually called. They were like the rabbit one.
Nanachi?
A Nanachi, yeah. So like back, I mean, again, that was several years ago. So I had a Nanachi, and that was a really big thing. Talk to us. Oh, that's what it was. Nova Beast, I think it was Nova Beast. Talk to us a little bit about what you've been seeing and what you're hoping to see in the near future.
Well, funny enough, dragons have been coming around as fursuits and furry conventions. You didn't used to see a whole lot of them, just because they're kind of complex. They're kind of weird to make them look right. So I've been seeing a lot more like dragons, like dinosaurs, like raptors and T-Rexes, and they look cool as shit. Like they don't look like, a carpet, like you said. It's not a DIY basement project. It's like these things look really, really nice, and just the level of skill that people have with making fursuits has just gone up and up, and it's so cool to see, more variety of different species and things that, like, 10 years ago, so a lot of people would be like, I'm not touching that. I'm not going to waste my materials on trying to make this thing like that. That is a huge undertaking, and people are taking those projects on, and they're kicking ass with them. So it's really cool to see that in like the real spaces of furry conventions. And as for VR, man, I never know what people are going to come out with. Like, people make up species in VR, so it's like we're way past dogs and cats and things that exist on this planet. Like, we are combining species that have already been made up So we have two made up species, and now we combine them and make a third made up species. And we have like alien shit going on. It is so cool because it's just limitless with the furry fandom, and that's another reason why I love our subculture and the furry fandom is when you have fandoms that are based off of something like I keep saying Star Wars, but Star Wars fandom, um, like My Little Pony, things like that. They're based around a specific concept, so you're kind of tethered to make whatever you're doing fit in that world. Obviously, like there's alternate universes and people go crazy and do their own thing. But for the majority of people, they're very like, we need to be canon, it needs to fit in this certain way, and it needs to do this. There's none of that in the furry fandom. We are completely like boundless, and it's literally the Wild West out here.
I think it's fun that you brought up My Little Pony too, because like at MomoCon you saw a lot of Pinkie Pies and a lot of Fluttershies, and I'm just like, why? How? Where did they all come from? But apparently they were all dressed like them. I think one of the voice actors was there too, but like at the same time it was like
Nice.
it was surprising. I was just like, holy moly. But man, I had something on the top of my head too, thinking a little bit about that. Oh, it was kind of the way that you were kind of saying it kind of reminded me about all the different types of VTubers out there too, where they kind of have their own little version of how they want to be. And again, you don't have to just be a cat or a dog, even though most VTubers like to be maybe a cat or, some sort of a either a wolf or a fox or something like that. Valant, what do you want to take a stab at that?
It's funny because like you see people like that. You see Twitch streamers in the furry space, and then I saw a bunch of them at FWA. Like I ran. And it's just fun to get to like interact. They don't know anything about you, but you can go up and be like, you kind of know what they're about. The things like, how it is. There's an element of kind of, chat kind of like beats you up as a Twitch streamer, right? And that's just part of the from my perspective, I'm not a Twitch streamer, but it's like part of the act and the entertainment of being there. It's just fun to see them and participate in that whole activity. But I did want to go back to something Razr said too. I have made a few fursuits as well. Like I've done mine, and it's remarkable how much the space has changed because of all the knowledge sharing going on. Back when I started, I want to say 2019 was when I made my fursuit. I went and watched a lot of Matrices tutorials online. She just gave away a lot of that information for free, and because of that, a lot of the space is growing. People are creating their own fursuits. I've seen full protogens, and they look insane. My friend Yellow Cake is like just making the craziest full suit protogens, and he cranks them out like crazy. Someone in the chat mentioned 3D printing. That's a huge innovation as well. Like these TPU heads that flex. It's remarkable seeing that happen in the IRL space, but it's also happening in the VR space as well. People are creating avatars. They're building tools to help with weight transfers, with clothes. Like that knowledge that people are getting is very real world, like true, like 3D modeling knowledge that they could apply in anything. It's wild.
Also, too,
Yeah.
if you were gonna, and I'll jump back to Razr too, is just like the fact of cosplaying in general. Like, I'm not saying that as a fursuiter that you're cosplaying, kind of, maybe, sort of, if you're doing some sort of a play. But if you were a seamstress that knew how to make fursuits or regular cosplay outfits, I had a buddy way back in the day who used to make some outfits and sell them online. And that's helpful for those people that are either they can't do that, they don't know how to do it, or they're looking for something oddly specific, and that all helps too. Especially if you're going to go to a convention, you could. I would assume that if you are a fursuiter, you also know how to do a lot more seamstress work with a lot of different outfits and cloth and fabrics and stuff like that, which you can make into a career. And I think a lot of people take that out of context, being like, well, if you're just fursuiter, you're just making all this money. Obviously, there's a time commitment. And let's just say your machines die too, like that's a thing that happens as well. But being able to, within the community, again, be responsive for those needs of people that are looking for specific things and the ever-changing thing. But obviously, too, yes, if you have a brand new, popular outfit or popular fur, the seamstress is sitting there going, how do I do this? Like, are you kidding? Now I have to put all these parts together, and then I have to mold it, and then there's all these things. We just went through this last year. Like, are you kidding me with this one?
I want that pattern.
Yes, I need that one pattern, and I can't find it.
It's really funny because, like, Valant has created a fursuit. I have started on one, and I carved the head out of foam. That's like the old school way of doing it. You get literally like furniture grade, like thick foam, and you just put it on a little head model, and you just start carving away. Which was really fun and therapeutic, honestly. But then I got to the part where I had to, I got all my fur, and I have all this nice fur, and I'm like, okay, now I have to cut it up and sew it together. And I got freaked out and threw it in my closet, and I haven't touched it in 3 years. So I will get back to that eventually.
It takes that one time where that one pattern just you sew it in, and you're like, this doesn't look right, and then you just say, I'm done. Just throw this out. Forget it.
I will revisit it. I haven't thrown it out. It's all in my closet, but I will get back to that. But yeah, it's crazy how available all the information is now, how the 3D printing, you can people are selling fursuit parts, 3D printed ears and muzzles and things, so it helps get you along building your own fursuit. So somebody who doesn't really know how to do a lot of that, or maybe isn't as artistically inclined, but they know how to sew, they can get parts and kind of put together their own fursuit from these pre-built parts, and it helps move that process along a lot easier. And that didn't used to exist. It used to be, there was a handful of fursuit makers. They were churning crazy amounts of fursuits out. And you had one of 5 or 6 of these huge fursuit maker brand fursuits. And if you didn't have one of those, you were building it yourself, and it looked like crap usually. Because nobody knew what they were doing. And even those big fursuit makers were buying each other's fursuits, tearing them open to figure out how they did what they did, and trying to steal and trade secrets from each other. It's really hilarious. It used to be that way sometimes. And I mean, I'm sure there's still things like that happening nowadays that I don't even know about, but I feel for the most part, things are a lot more out on the table, encouraging, this is how, these are ways you can do it, this is how you can do it easier. People are very encouraging on taking the initiative to build your own thing and go out there with it.
And even with the ease of 3D printing too, as we were talking about in chat and just earlier too, that it does make the process a little bit easier. I mean, obviously if you render something in Blender, let's just say, because I don't know if there's any other types of software for 3D modeling. I would only assume so, but you could make a mistake cheaper than, again, with foam. Yes. Or cutting up a piece of fur that you're gonna throw in the drawer, hoping that it'll, it's just like wrapping paper, I guess. But being able to kind of put that together, and guess what? Convention helps with that process too, that you can talk with like-minded people to say, this is what I did, this is what you need to do, work on it, and get really excited about it. Kind of like with pop culture conventions right now, crocheting things is always a big popular thing. And I got to bring my mother to MomoCon this past weekend, and she's like, look at all the crochet stuff. And I'm like, what if I told you there was a panel where you can make crochet things? And she's like, freaking out a little bit. But that's part of the reason why you need to go to Furality as well, because not only will you be meeting people with a specific interest in mind or passion, but let's just say you do want to get into it. There's probably lots of different avenues that you can take to learn more about that concept. I'm going to dive into what a lot of people recognize Furality has done and what Furality continues to do, which is be very charitable. And holy moly, guacamole, if I were to continue on with that phrasing, you guys raise a lot of money for charity. So talk to us a little bit. I don't know who would want to start with that. Maybe Valant will have something to say. Talk to us a little bit. Even raising $22,000 so far. We haven't even started the convention. What's going on with all that?
Yeah, it really speaks to just the the charitability and the hearts of everyone involved in the space, right? I'm always always honored and flattered when anyone is willing to contribute their money, right? Because money is something that, from my perspective, right, I have to work hard, I have to sit at a desk, I have to go through a lot of BS at work to earn money so I could put food on the table. And so it's a limited resource, right? And it's when somebody is willing to give that, and a lot of that, to a cause, that the utmost honor. And I think that furries have kind of gained this stigma of like they what they say, like the suspiciously wealthy furry. I don't think that's necessarily a thing, right? It's just like, it's the same idea that I said earlier about conventions being a pilgrimage instead of a vacation, right? From that perspective, people are going to do what they have to do to make ends meet with money. And people will do that with the charity as well. They'll donate money and to a good cause. I could have never imagined that it would be this much even before the opening of the convention. Conventions, from my experience, mostly accrue those donations during the convention. So, and keep in mind, this is at a time when the economic impacts have been pretty rough as well, and people are still being charitable. Like that's insane. I, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I'm just honored that our fan base is willing to do that, right? And we've done we've done in the past, we've done the Center Orlando, right? That's offering LGBTQ services in Florida, which is, it's a state that absolutely needs that help, especially over there in that state. The current charity as well, animal wellness. We've talked about doing that for quite a while as well. We've done Save a Fox in the past, so it's really heartwarming to see that people they see our charity, right, and they want to be a part of that. Um, uh, that's just wonderful. This is life-changing money for these charities, right? They're able to do things that they were never able to do before because they have this immense amount of money that we're able to give them.
It's great that you're able to explain early on how, again, the convention hasn't even started and there's so many people pouring their hearts and funds and money into this charitable cause, especially for Resilient Hearts. I know my father is it I gotta find the funny words for it. He has the hardest time when he's watching the TV and he sees the dogs and the cats in the kennel and their eyes are round in the arms of an angel. Yeah, and he's like, no, I have to leave. I have to turn the TV off. I'll come back in a whole minute. I don't need to see it because it hits everybody a little differently. And depending on what type of animal that you've had in your homes, depending on who you are loving and trusting throughout that entire process, you definitely want to give to something that will benefit you, will also benefit other people in the future, especially in the Central Florida as well. There have actually been two big things that had happened with animals recently. One with sloths, which is a weird thing to think about. I don't know if you've heard it, but Central Florida had Sloth World, which is a weird concept to bring to Central Florida. The fact that literally 35 sloths lost their lives because of bad handling and zookeeping, and they're still fighting over that concept too, because they're just like, is Sloth World coming back? I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's Central Florida. Why would you come to Central Florida for sloths? I mean, what's going on with this? They also found 120 beagles that needed rescuing recently. I don't know if that was in Central Florida either, but at least 70 of them have gotten their forever homes, which has been absolutely mind-numbing just to think, okay, all these beagles. I mean, unless one person brought in 70 beagles into the house, good for you, bad for the neighbors. But but like all of that is super important to kind of go through that process of understanding. Obviously the center and the LGBTQ community, especially in Orlando, is a very strong thing. And I haven't been able to experience it yet, but I've been wanting to go to the center just to see the big diamond tier plaque that says Furality right in the smack dab middle for all of the charitable donations that your community has been able to raise and stuff like that. But I want your opinions on this too, because like that's a big number to kind of put together. And as Furality is in VRChat, until the day that it gets out of VRChat to become another virtual reality entity, just as self-existing at some point in time, that would be ideal, I would suppose. I know that VRChat works very well hand in hand with Furality to kind of put something like that together. You have a lot of communities in here that are trying to do the exact same thing to raise charitable donations and efforts to help another charitable cause. And all of that is fantastic. You can't sneeze at that. You can't say boo to that. Any way that you can help out with the community and stuff like that is very helpful. Looking at it at a perspective of someone from the outside looking in, looking to create their own clubs, create their own experiences, obviously those conversations come up from time to time of, should we be doing this for charity? Should we be doing this to raise money for our staff? Because again, events happen on time and skilled, and you have performance, and you got to just, that's how if you want to make it a profession, that's how you're going to be raising your money for that. So in a time where there are certain clubs and certain groups doing charitable donations, making a couple of thousands of dollars, which again, you can't sneeze at, if you get $5,000 for charity, that's more than you'll ever make, at any given time from whatever.
Yeah.
Where do you both see that happening, that trend? I don't want to say it's a trend, but the trend of being able to host events in here. Do you think that raising charitable donation in the future will be something that most events in VRChat are going to be striving for? Or do you think, I mean, obviously I would think they should, but in the idea of Furality really just raising that bar sky high with all of the donations going on with that, where do you guys think that's kind of headed in the future?
I definitely think that, it makes sense that more places would try to follow suit. If nothing else, and I've already seen other events, they have a charity, they do raise funds for charity. So I've seen it happening already plenty. But I would hope that this, shows that you can do something like this and people will show up and they will help you try to get to those goals. I've worked with a couple of smaller events that, they decided, hey, let's try and raise something for charity. And, they were much, much smaller events than Furality, but they threw it out there and they crushed their goal. Even if their goal was, 5,000, they hit 10,000. There's an appetite for it. And I think, there's so many avenues for you to raise money for a good cause. You're already going to do the event, right? Might as well try and make it for a bigger purpose that has real actual effects for places. Do your homework on your charities and see where it's going to make the most impact, and it's not that hard to do.
I know Valant also kind of talked a little bit about that stigma thing about how furries have all the money. And I know from occasion, from time to time, I mean, you can't help but fact that, a good portion of some furs are coders, the people that work in technology, which is strange, but at the same time, you see a lot of people being interviewed. They're performing all over the place. They have careers all over the place, but it just so happens that a lot of furs like the code, and that's kind of fun. So where am I going with this? I know I was trying to think a little bit of something about, Being able to focus that, kind of bringing up the idea of the center and having Furality as like the mainstay diamond tier. Does it get a little uncomfortable when people are jealous about that? I feel like that stigma is, it's just another one of those wave fingers of like, oh, of course the furs are going to have the money for that. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a negative thing, right? Like if you can do good, then go do good. And if you're having problems doing good, then maybe you should figure out a better way to do good. Like anybody can give
Yeah.
blood. Like you could save a life by giving blood, and that's free. You don't even have to donate money to that.
Are people actually jealous of that? Because I guess I don't know if I'm out of touch, but I've is that something that you hear often?
Well,
Is people are like,
I think it's kind of a like a I mean, I see it also. I kind of see it with Trans Academy too, because Trans Academy also raises a ton of money, and for some reason, I just see a bunch of people outside of VR just waving their fingers, being like, "Of course the trans community has all the money to save lives and stuff like, are you kidding me with this? Like, give your $20 that you were gonna get at a cheeseburger, and go give it to somebody that could use a cheeseburger, not you having a cheeseburger every day, kind of a thing." But
yeah, and to go against, the suspiciously wealthy furry thing, I don't, these donations aren't like, oh, one person's dropping like a $50,000 donation. Like these are like small donations coming in, just a lot of them, it's small increments, but there's a lot of people that, get inspired. They believe in the system. They believe in the charity. It takes a whole village, and, this is just proof of it coming together sometimes.
I mean, honestly, big brain math right there. You got a whole village and everyone has $20. Someone in chat mentioned $20 is the value meal, which is just such a wrong sentence to say in this time right nowadays. Like, you can't get a burger and fries at Five Guys for $20 nowadays. It's killing me.
We're in the bad timeline.
Yeah. But to be fair, if everyone has $20 and can put it into a village, like that $20 can go so far.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if you had anything else.
Yeah, I see the wheels turning there, being like, I know I had something to say.
No, you could see it in my eyes, right? Like, I've been thinking, it's such a slippery slope to get into I think that this money should be spent to do this thing, or I think that this money should be spent to do this thing. And the fact of the matter is that there's always going to be something happening out there. There's always going to be an injustice of some sort, and so we have to make decisions, right? And sometimes we are in situations in our lives that we don't have the ability to give, and that's okay, right? We have to take care of this this ball of flesh and bones and cartilage and ATP protein and things like that, right? So we have to take care of that first, but then there are some of us that, and not just furries in general, just people that have more on top, and they, out of their own generosity, they say, well, I have extra here and I could do things with that. Even like back to what I said about going to conventions. I know about friends that will get suites and they'll pay for the whole thing, and they'll tell their friends, like, you don't have to pay a damn thing, just come here, have a great time. And that's another form of generosity, because they're trying to help support the people that they love, to give them an experience. And you could even extrapolate that back to this whole thing we're talking about charities, right? It's about joining under a cause, and that could be anything, right? Like I could say, well, I want to help promote typewriters, and I want people to understand the visceral feel of typing on a typewriter, right? And I could establish that, put that together, and start trying to find funding for that, or do an event to promote that, right? It could be anything like that, right? I think that I think that uh, I would just encourage those, those clubs or those groups to like think about, what is something that you and people around you in your space could rally around to support. Or you don't have to even do, this is all optional, right? I hate those Arms of the Angels videos, not because I don't support the cause, but because I feel like I'm being emotionally manipulated. And I don't like that, right? I like to be
True.
steady,
Very true.
yeah, I have enough trouble containing my own emotions sometimes. So like it's nice to have that be in a place where it's like it's here, the donation area is over here. Here's the cause. It's here if you want to be a part of it. We're not going to shove it down your throats. We'll remind you, here and there, this is who we're supporting. If you're interested, it's here. Donate if you like. But that's it. And so that is showing even more that people are, are supporting the cause, because that's what we don't want to do. We don't ever want it to seem like it's mandatory. So they're giving that because they feel like it's a cause worth pursuing.
I think you got to
Yeah.
hit it on the head
And
too, and I'll get back to Razr here.
Sure.
You hit it on the head with the whole generosity thing, and I love how you keep going back to the idea of like, I just want you here. I want us to hang out and have a good time. I want to have fun, and
Yes.
I think that's what people are so upset about. If you were to really think about it, like they're upset because you guys are being generous. Everyone in the community is being generous. You're all having a fun time, and they're not. But at the same time, I think they're also jealous that the whole village can come up with all those funds to get the diamond tier. That's the big plaque that says, "We did it, you didn't," kind of a thing. But at the same time, it's not how that's supposed to be generated. But the generosity of it is like, there's so much going on day to day that people are always bypassing things. We see it in when people drive on the highways, they're darting in and out, or it's always them before anybody else. And I feel like there should be a time where we have to take a step back. That's not a holiday. That is not Christmas. That is not Thanksgiving. Because during those times, that's when they're like, well, I'm going to make up for the whole year, me being generous on one day. And it's just like,
I see.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So that's the thing. It's just being generous and being, when you have the availability to do that and to give back, that you should be able to do that selflessly. You should just be able to just do that and just, live in the moment.
Mhm.
I guess it doesn't have to have a monetary value either to it either. I saw a guy at the airport and he had a really nice tie on. He had a nice bow tie, and I'm like, "You're looking real nice." I kind of give him a nice little like shoulder push and something. He's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey." So even that is just enough to be able to do. And yes, in a perfect world, if we were to continue to think about what we can do to help society, being nicer to people, sure, but finding your own version of being generous and generosity to give back to those things is super important.
Yeah, and just to touch really quick, and we can move on. What Valant said, and going back to your question for smaller spaces and newer clubs that are wanting to like potentially explore, getting a charity on board or something. Don't throw it in everybody's face. Make it available. The people, who feel called to do that will do that. But, obviously this isn't a competition. We didn't go to the center looking to get a plaque. Like we didn't that wasn't the goal of the operation, was to get up on their wall. I don't even know if we knew they had it's just
Yeah.
it's a cool thing that happened, but it's not a contest. We're not trying to flex our, the money and the dollar signs around. That is not what we're about.
If only people could think about it like Twitch, where it's like you could donate money, but you don't have to.
Mm.
Yeah, well, you could have a plaque, but maybe we're not going there. It's VRCDJ Live. We're sitting here with Razr and Valant of Furality. Let's get into some good stuff right now. Let's get into some stuff that people may not know about you guys. And when we have our guests come into the show, I always love this segment because I'm old in the scene. I've been in here for quite some time. And why am I still here? I just like being here. It's fun to socialize. It's fun to be with the kids, but at the same time, it's fun to do fun things. But so I want to kind of get to start with Razr. How did you even get into VR? What how did you learn about virtual reality, VR chat? What got you in here in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I've always, been kind of an internet lurker. I love video games. I got I lost my life to World of Warcraft and League of Legends for several years. God bless. And I'm off of those things, thankfully. But so I've always liked video games and stuff like that. But I really got into Second Life back in the day. That was super cool. So I kind of had like my gateway drug into sort of like a thing kind of like this. Where you could build your own characters, and it was kind of like the Wild West of the internet, and there was nothing regulated, and you just went and people built things and you did whatever you want. So that was really cool. And then yeah, in 2020, like around when COVID was happening and there was nothing going on, I was one of those people who I actually, it's funny enough, I think, Furality actually might have had a pretty big part of that for me, or might have been a pretty big part of that for me is I heard some people like on, Twitter or whatever talking about, hey, there's this like virtual convention happening and like some people that I wouldn't expect would be into this kind of thing we're talking about it. And I'm like, well, even you are into it. It must be pretty interesting if like you're looking into this and stuff and so I couldn't attend to the first virality that happened. I think I was on vacation or something, but I saw videos posted of like the DJs and the club that they built, and it was so much smaller scale than it is now, but I was like, wow, this is really cool. This looks really fun. It looks like Second Life on steroids, like to the max. And I was like, wow. And I was also at a point in my life where I was getting into DJing, and I was looking to go play places. And I was looking at doing that at furry conventions, but those were all shut down at the time because of COVID. So I was like, okay. And they were doing like Twitch streams and stuff. So I applied at some furry cons and did some Twitch stream DJ sets and stuff at the time. But I was like, maybe I can take this thing onto this VR chat program and DJ there a little bit. So I hopped on and was talking to some people, and they invited me to play at one of their events. It wasn't Furality, it was another event that was happening. And that's actually where I met Valant for the first time. Just ran into Valant, ran into a bunch of other friends that I'm still friends with to this day. And I was able to do a DJ set on VRChat, and I just got hooked instantly. Just seeing everybody hanging out, and I quickly found out that even though I came on VRChat to DJ, that was my primary goal, was come on to VRChat and DJ. Like I DJ under the name Kaiju, so my first VRChat name just said Kaiju over my head, because I just thought I was going to show up, DJ, and get offline. And I quickly found that was not the case, and I stayed for the community. And I had to retrain everybody that my name is not Kaiju. That's actually my stage name, and I changed my name eventually. And everybody, like, it took like a year to retrain all of my friends that that's not my name. That's like my performance name. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I've been on it ever since, and the community has just grown stronger. And like I have a chosen family on here now.
So what was the process of finding the headset that you first started with? Like, what were you mentally with that?
Oh man. So I actually got a hand-me-down from a friend who was in the area who's very techie, and he was on VRChat like probably in like 2016, like before he was on VR. Like he had the original Vive. And he was doing VR stuff when it was like brand new, but it was just sitting on his shelf at the time, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't really use this anymore." And I think he just got an Index, and he was like, "Yeah, you want this thing?" And so he gave me his old Vive, and I ran that beater to the ground until probably like 2 years ago.
It's so funny because like during COVID again, I think we were all at a different time where we were like, okay, where do we get our headsets? And I think when the Quest 3 came out, or Quest, it was teetering between Quest 2 and Quest 3. It was just a matter of, okay, how do I claim it? How do I get it? How do I install it? Like I have the Quest 2, and the Quest 2 is just a nonsense tool for doing the passcode thing. Probably the reason why I don't go into it anymore is because I don't remember my passcode. Plus, I don't know if it's bricked or not. But at the same time, it's like that's so fascinating to me that we've all got together and said, well, we're gonna try this brand new thing. If we're gonna be in the future, we might as well learn about it. And if we're gonna be inside all that time, we're gonna learn about it too. But I would hope that Valant has maybe a different story. I mean, I would say it's something similar, but like, yeah, let's talk about how you first got into VR chat. What interested you to join and all that sort of stuff.
Oh my gosh. So for my capstone project in college, I created a VR glove. So I got the DK1 Oculus kit. It's actually sitting in my display case in my office. So I've been really interested in VR ever since I heard of the concept. I thought it was going to be something big, and it was really cool to see how we could kind of create these experiences in virtual reality that you otherwise wouldn't be able to have in real life. I mean, I was big into Second Life back in the day, just like Razr as well, right? I spent I spent a lot of time on there, but it just wasn't quite the same experience. It was a chat room. It felt more like a chat room than like I'm meeting with somebody, like it is in VR, right? Uh, I've been enamored with the hardware. I'm a hardware guy too. I love the hardware. Um, so I got a HTC Vive. I went to the Microsoft store in the Galleria here locally. I tried a demo and I was hooked. It wasn't VR chat at the time, but I did the drawing one, and I couldn't believe that this experience was in a consumable form. HTC solved the problem, and Valve had the system, the ecosystem, and it was here to buy. So I'm just like, put me down for an order. I was the first person to walk out of that store with a Vive. And I had that in I want to say 16, it feels like. I kind of sat on it for a while. And then I saw Picapedi's videos about VR, and I'm like, well, that looks like a big meme fest. I saw Ugandan Knuckles and all these other crazy things going on. I'm like, you know what? I should try it. And I get in there, and it kind of replicated that awkward first con experience, like I told you I had at TFF in 2009. It was just this in VR again. Everyone at the time was playing Never Have I Ever, and there was Toothless there, who was like curb stomping people, like just like kicking with their legs. And I'm like, how did you do that? What did you? They're like, oh, I have full body tracking. I'm like, I'm going to buy that. This was like 2018, 2019. So a lot of that exposure happened before the pandemic. Then the pandemic happened, and then it kind of recontextualized the whole VR space even more for me. So that was kind of my whole exposure to VR and how I kind of got here.
No, I know, obviously, and I probably should have led into the idea that you did coding and some technical things too, because obviously that sounds like a really fun thing to get started with when you're doing virtual reality. I want to pick your brains about the things that you've been able to experience within the rave scene in VR chat over time. I know, again, one of the main reasons why we have this program is to bring up how it all kind of began, There are still a lot of people that are in our rave scene that it's not a matter that they don't care about nostalgia, but if it's not readily available that you can just watch it as a video or like a small, YouTube short about it, then not too many people have interest in it as of yet because they're always looking ahead into the future. So I kind of want to know when you started learning about the rave scene in here, and again, as you were saying that you wanted to DJ in here first and foremost, and then you kind of caught the bug a little bit. What did it look like the first time that you came in here to experience the rave scene, even compared to where it is now?
Yeah, I mean, it was so much more rudimentary. There was a screen, there was a player just like now, but it was a rectangle. There was a couple of, lights spinning around with really bad textures and maybe some lasers and stuff like that. But you had people that were probably not DJing while they're, like, standing in VR chat with full body, like, on the decks. It didn't really look like that, like, people might be standing there in desktop behind the decks, and, like, it's like, "That's the guy," but they're, like, actually live streaming, or, we had a lot of people that were still at least from when I was doing it during COVID, a lot of people were used to live streaming and doing things on Twitch, so you would have people, they'd put their avatar there and, like, this is them, in VR chat, but they would actually be on screen like DJing live, and that's back when everyone was using like green screens and trying to spice up their home studio because we were all stuck at home and trying to make cool like DJ experiences still. So um there was a lot of that going on, but like in the actual VR chat worlds were pretty simple. And like if you didn't know somebody who was building a VR chat world, you would just go hang out in like Orion or something like that and just hijack that world and use that for an event.
What about you, Valant?
Yeah, it was very different. I mean, the first I remember the first Furality occurred. And then afterwards, there was a lot of this hype around like, how do we continue to do this? How do we DJ? And for me, that was Tailbase. That was a big group at the time that just was a place for DJs to gather. They did kind of events on the weekends when people felt like showing up. And it was just, Twitch. We all use Twitch. We do a live stream. This was well before like VRCDN or any other kind of like low latency services, right? So we all use Twitch, and we all just swapped out, on our stream URLs to make this happen, right? It was very different, like, it kinda back to the first shooting, to draw an analog with that whole space. Um, it was, it was a lot of people sharing knowledge about a lot of different aspects, that kinda help push the community forward, like the world space, building worlds. I know, I think, Udon, changed a lot since then. A lot of, optimizations for avatars, even, things like that. We're not using prims in Second Life anymore. We're using actual vertices that are GPUs and GPU memory. That all of that was more difficult back in the time. Like during Luma, it was difficult to fit more than like a dozen avatars in an instance because VRAM was a lot less that time. Now it's a lot easier. People are more cognizant. There's a lot of optimizations of VRAM. It's grown a lot since.
Now, I kind of want to take you back a little bit because earlier, the part of the interview, we were talking about the new generation looking to go out to clubs, go out to bars. Obviously, one of the things that's kind of popular right now are teen takeovers. If you've been hearing about that on the news, has been kind of ruining a lot of people's fun times. We brought this up with our last guest a couple weeks ago, where you can't really enjoy a scene anymore without people making a scene. When it comes to IRL things, going to the clubs, going to the bars, even just going to the beach, has always it always seems to be an event. whether it be rowdy people or maybe they don't understand how it is to just go to the bar, have a drink, and listen to the DJ. It could be as simple as that, but the people make it so much more complicated nowadays. And now that raving in virtual reality is starting to pop up a lot more, we've been seeing it with a lot of different groups and clubs already, where they're implementing a lot of IRL DJs that have labels, and there's labels in here, and just regular record labels in here too. We're always kind of looking for the future of what's happening in here and how we can continue to create an even better space in here. So I kind of want your opinions on that when it comes to the future of what is going on in here. I know not to give you different avenues of which ways to go, but we've had a lot of guests on the program that have been explaining that their processes of being in here to perform has been strictly hobby. It's just them coming in here and practicing and wanting to be as a hobby. But year after year after year, we continue to see changes where more people from again, actual recording artists want to come in here to perform and have fun with it, and not to bleed into the idea of making a buck, making some money, which is the conversation continues. We're never going to find a resolution of that as of right now. But moving forward and seeing a lot of attention kind of coming in here, I will say even going into June, it's going to be a complicated time after things happened with Rec Room and some other. I forgot there was another source that the kids are coming in, so they'll get to experience the rave scene in general too. Again, wanting to be able to be here and DJ and be a part of that, which will lead into Furality as well. How do you see the future of what we've got cooking up on in here? Is there cause of concern for specific things that we should probably start discussing within the rave scene, or do you think people are challenging themselves enough to either want to pursue a career or get out of the whole hobby sector?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you see it with a lot of the newer generation for sure, where everybody's got a hustle. I feel like, everyone's got a side hustle. Like you said, it seems like there's a lot less hobbies and more hustles. Everybody does feel like, they're trying to be an entrepreneur. They're trying to make a business out of everything that they're doing. Um, and to that, I feel like that has the potential to open a lot of cans of worms in certain spaces. Just because when you get money involved, it adds a whole lot of factors. How much do you pay this guy versus how much do you pay this guy? Why do you rate this person getting paid this much? And you start putting price tags on art and passion, and that becomes a really slippery slope to potentially toxic places, I think. So that's a hurdle that the furry fandom hasn't jumped over, even in real life spaces and cons. There have been conversations over the years of how should we pay our DJs, how much do we pay them, things like that. A lot of times conventions, um, it used to be nothing, but a lot of conventions now will, comp their registration. They might give them some food vouchers. They'll sweeten the deal a little bit for, playing and DJing and stuff and try to help. But when you're starting to pay people a paycheck, it opens a can of worms. There's a lot of other volunteers doing a lot of really important work. So why are we paying this person who's DJing and not paying the AV people in the front of the house? It's a really hard conversation, and that's something that I can see um causing a riff in the balance of what we got going on. I feel like we have a really and I'm not saying that, as a staff member at Furality. I'm saying that as a DJ, as someone on the other side of the decks. And there is a lot of, ways that we can, support people who are trying to make a living doing this. But it's a very it's a very tough subject to traverse, I think, and we have to be careful about it.
Even being here in VR chat too, we do like to talk about it because it always seems the landscape is ever growing, ever changing, and with all of the VR chat, like you were saying with Udon, that was a big change that a lot of people literally almost took about 9 to 12 months to try to learn and adapt to. But the same thing goes with the ever-changing market. Again, with Rec Room closing the doors, that's going to be another 15,000 people looking to go to a place. And then we have to sit and say, okay, are they coming into our community to just hang out? Are they being attendees? Will they? We always talk about positive peer pressure when it comes to DJing. You know, you want your friends to do it, so you're going to try to do it, have your friends do it. Now we got 15,000 more people to say, oh, are you going to attempt to do this? And where's the fame coming from? Where's the money coming from? And are you having the right headspace for it moving forward? Especially with the new recording artists and the new AI wave and technology. We keep talking about how people want to be more involved. I know it is a topic that a lot of people, yeah, exactly. It works best as a tool. That's the best way I can explain it. Is I think a lot of people need to use it as a tool than an end result. And I think a lot of people need to recognize that. It's almost like saying all of the information's on the internet, but we forget that it's there. Like it's like, oh, if we want to learn more about apples and the many varieties of apples, we could either go to the library to learn about apples, or we could just type in and be like, give me information about apples. Boom, apples. Yeah. But yeah, moving forward with all of that is super important. I'm going down a really treacherous, rocky path on this one, but what are your thoughts on the ever growing popularity of fur DJs? Furality again this year had 321 applicants, with only a 7% acceptance rate, which is hard. It's hard. It's a real hard thing to talk about, but it's even harder to think there's 321, potential furry DJs out there that are either looking to make a career out of it or passion out of it. And how do we identify that there's such a huge calling for it? So I don't know which one of you guys want to start with that first.
I'll let him start.
Yeah, I think we actually looked at that. Razr and I looked at that last night, and I think that the percentage is even lower because I think if you go with 30, that includes staff sets, but staff sets is another segment, so it's actually 24 out of that number. So the percentage is even lower, and it is. I mean, I've brought this up to a lot of people about it. That's almost the acceptance rate of getting into Harvard. It is insanely selective, unfortunately, just because of the fact that we only have this many slots to perform. Right, we only have this many available slots to actually fill in the weekend. But I mean, the Razr's told me this many times. I have enough applications here to make like 5 Furalities out of just that pool. It's genuinely insane. It can be really hard to stand out in that crowd, right? Because you could do everything right and still not get picked. And I might be jumping a little ahead, but that could be really frustrating because you like, I did all these things. I put 100 hours into my set, my demo, and it didn't get picked. Man, that means that I did something wrong, and it's not your fault. It's just a very competitive space. You need venues just as much as you need DJs to push the space forward, right? Because, well, it's great it's great to DJ to your friends, in a instance. That's a great vibe as well. But when you want to break into like a bigger stage, maybe get your name out there, you want to start performing in other places, that could be very difficult. especially when you're trying to go up against, like, you're a drum and bass DJ or you're a house DJ and you're competing against so many other DJs for a few slots. It can be pretty daunting and very frustrating when you don't get in. I get that, but that doesn't mean give up, right? You just keep at it, refine your craft, and a an acceptance, at least from us, is always on your merit. A rejection is never your fault because that's what it's designed to do. And I know I'm jumping way ahead on our judging, but yeah.
I think it's also important to know and recognize too that, like, for a community that accepts literally everyone, like, it doesn't matter who you are, what skin you are, what type of fur you are, whatever you got going on, that everyone will be all acceptance. And I think that's the reason why people are so upset about it, is that now there's a hindrance on that acceptance of it being like, well, maybe I'm not good enough for this specific thing. As somebody made a very valid point in chat by saying 26,000 attendees. Like, that is a full blown convention, and for you to, it's a reality that needs to be identified as, like, it's not based on that type of skill. It's even harder for the people that have to go through those submissions to make a choice based on how many people are physically going to this convention. It's not a matter of just performing in virtual reality anymore. It's not a matter of just performing for your friends anymore. It's not a matter of it's being somebody's birthday or anything like that. It's now a matter of, this is a convention people are paying money to go see. And the people that are performing need to uphold a certain standard to be able to bring in even more money. That's the business side of it. It's not meant to be like that all the time. And as, again, like you were both saying, having friends apply and then having to turn them away is also sucky. It's like, it's hard for you to be like, it's not a matter of they're not good. It's a matter of, like, how much more physical skill can bring in more people to make this convention a much larger convention overall, for everybody's sake. And that is a hard realization that I think a lot of people need to think a little bit about. And I'm glad to see everybody in chat. Again, please give us your opinions in chat as well, because we read all those and we want to make sure that we have an open discussion about this. I know Razr wanted to probably chime in a little bit about that process as well, because it is hard. And it's the hard truth that I think a lot of people, it's the next step in the hobbyist part of VRChat DJing. Is the next part is, okay, if you're scared about being in a business, guess what? This is what the business entails. Like, you have to go through a little bit of rejection to go much further on, as far as your branding and business.
Yeah, I mean, like Valant said, the numbers are crazy, and they just continue to get crazier year over year. More people are getting onto VRChat. More people are trying out DJing. It's a good problem to have, honestly. I love seeing people trying this out. I love people getting into it and expressing themselves and having fun with it. Um, and honestly, the community that we have is really good. And that's why it breeds so many freaking awesome DJs, is because there's so much encouragement from, older DJs, other newer DJs. People see somebody get up and crush it, and they're like, man, I think I could do that. And they learn from their friends, like, the threshold is not huge. Like, the learning curve is not crazy. Like, you can do something like this. Here's your friend who just started last year, and look at him now. So it's really cool to see. But yeah, with those numbers, we only have so many slots to fill, and there's a lot of people that are qualified to fill those slots that apply. 100%. There are a mind-boggling amount of very talented DJs that apply every year for Furality, and that's why I have a team under me to help me go through all of those submissions, because I could never do it on my own in a million years. So I have some really awesome people who help me out with that whole process, and it's tough on them too, you know? You guys make it really hard for us. Really, really hard for us.
It's true.
And it's
Yeah.
probably only going to get any hard. It's going to get a little harder too, just because of
Yeah.
the sheer passion that everybody has in virtual reality, and especially with the DJs too. I even got to see it, and I haven't seen it in a little while because I think that there's a little lull going on in VR right now because of the summertime and it being really hot out.
Mhm.
But I at the beginning of the year, everybody got their brand new consoles for the holidays, and now they're sitting there trying to learn how to do it. And now they're going to start going through that process of just being like, okay, so people are performing 3 times on a Saturday. They're doing 3 events on a Saturday. No, like,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's busy
Yeah.
work, but at the same time, networking is a big thing. And reading the comments in chat, thank you guys for coming by and hanging out with us. Hello, welcome. It's VRCDJLIVE. We're live. It's also super important to say, listen, you know, if you didn't get accepted this round, there has to be a more positive message that you can give yourself from this. And what a lot of people in chat have been saying is, this is now your opportunity to support those people, because the best way to network and to work with your colleagues is just that, showing support for your colleagues. And one of the big things that I personally have been learning this year, without, you know, putting a lot of effort on me or a lot of, you know, attention on me during the show, is there's a whole bunch of IRL DJs called Hood Politics that I'm starting to get to know, and their main focus is cultivating like a family of DJs, which they talk to each other, they have DMs with each other, they support each other, guys hugging guys, you know, like talking to each other, being supportive, and like that, you know, having bro moments, you know, just having those, like, I'm here for
sure.
your show, you're probably going to be there for my show if I ever have one, but that's just it, is like, I'm not there to clout chase, I'm there to support the bros when they need support. If nobody else is dancing out there, you better believe I'm going to be right in the front, you know, fist pumping and being like, I'm here for you, man.
yeah.
Like if you,
Yeah.
so that I would, if there was anything that you needed to take away from this entire thing today, is just that. It's like, I think there's more people looking to get the attention than being supportive of the attention. And I think a lot of people need to take that moment. We've talked about it before, where it's just like, you should take a moment in your time, if you've got nothing else going on, go support the new DJs, go support the DJs you've never seen. Maybe you'll get to find someone that you've never known that you've liked. But it only takes one person to be in the front and just going to town and being super supportive, and the DJ's going to be there smiling, because at least there's one person doing that. And I think that's
so true.
super important to understand.
Yeah,
Agreed.
no, that's so true. And I feel like the community that we've cultivated here in the furry DJ space, especially in VRChat, is just what you're kind of talking about with your group that you've gotten involved with. I see that happen so often, and I'm, you know, so proud of the space that we've made. And that's another reason why, you know, when it comes to talking about introducing money into this whole thing, you know, that's like throwing a pipe bomb in the middle of it, honestly. It just adds so many problems that we don't have right now. And we're able to just focus on not showing up and getting a paycheck, but doing what you're passionate about and supporting your friends who are doing what they're passionate about, that aren't just there to get a paycheck, you know?
All right, I'm going to ruin this happy moment. We're over here having a good time, just kind of, you know, messing around and just being all positive. But I think a lot of people are wanting to know, and I want to know too. I know we were going to start discussing. We can't go into added specifics over specific applications, but I think a lot of people are curious to want to know: have there been any trends for the people that did apply that you found that didn't work during those applications?
Yeah, I mean, you know, fundamentals of DJing definitely need to be there, you know. There's some times where, you know, there is 0 beat matching going on, and it's a really rough section, you know, things like that. Something that I always like to address that is, you know, people don't think about as much, is just energy management throughout a set. Like, you're there to take people on a journey for an hour, and so you need to manage your audience's energy for that whole hour. You can't just be slamming them for an hour straight without giving them, a melodic breakdown here or there, or a breather, things like that. Things like that are really important to me that I look for personally. But you know, there's things, like, beat matching, just things that are not harmonically mixed very good. When you have two keys that are clashing really bad, you got vocals all on top of each other, and it's just like it's hitting your ear sideways. Those are obviously things that are uh not great when you're throwing in demo. But those are some common things that I see. But I'll let Valant, take a crack at this. He did it before I did, so he hears a lot of it too.
Yeah, and it as a DJ, uh, Rob, you've been in the scene for quite a while, so you know what's up, right? You know how to DJ. You're very good at it. I've heard your mixes. I've that I've heard the mix in the drinking world many times. Um, but uh, since we are more accessible, we tend to see a more diverse range of DJs, right? We have DJs who have just started. We have DJs who have been, DJing for 6 months. We've got like years. We've got their entire lifetimes, and they are all at different places in their mixing. And so because our acceptance rate is so very low, we have to be really selective, because we wanted from the beginning to have your acceptance be based on the merit of your demo, not about who or like in the club, or uh, like what your follower count is. If you can throw down in a demo and make a killer demo, then we want you to play on our stage. So because of that, I mean, sometimes we call it like the Spotify playlist. It just sounds like, there's an outro, you lose all the energy, a new song plays, it's a new BPM, there's no beat matching, anything. Um, that if we didn't have, that many applications, that would be a different story. But because we have so many, we have to we have to be more selective in what we're looking for, and we tend to see trends in mixing, based on the skills. I think I'm jumping ahead again, but like the judging criteria video, we tried to add content in that video for what we commonly see as issues in demos that we hear.
It's what makes this conversation so interesting to me, just because, like, for the people that are in here, there are hobbyists in here, and I feel like they need to practice more. And from time to time, I hear that from attendees of certain events too. And it's not because I run this program. It's not because I'm hosting it. It's not because of all my experience and stuff. It's just people will approach me when I come in, either to say hi or whatever, but they'll give me their gripes about the DJ, and I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. This community probably hired them for a reason. Maybe they're new. Maybe they're trying something new. At the same time, it makes me think a lot about what the norm is for a lot of the DJs and the DJs that are in here, especially for the groups and communities. One of the norms that I think a lot of communities in here, mind you, there's nothing wrong with it. It's how it's developed, and I think a lot of people enjoy that development. Is there are a lot of clubs and groups in here that would rather not stray away from the underground scene. I think underground has a huge importance in VR chat and the VR community in here too. However, you can't deny that there's a wide age gap in generations in here that like specific things. We've seen that in genres to begin with, right? The popularity of disco coming back and house music kind of in a rise. Compared to the heavy hardcore. The drum and bass had a very big significant time, but I mean, it's still kicking.
God, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I feel like,
Oh, yeah.
techno is kind of coming over from the European side, and it just there's a wide versions of genres about this. But the same thing goes with the hobbyist DJ in here to begin with too. And this is kind of bumping up against, what is considered the norm of a lot of DJing. As you were saying, the Spotify DJ is kind of, headlining its way in here into this space. Now, as we've said before, and I'll gripe about this till the day I die. You could crossfade into a song. You can go from one song to another song with a crossfade, and that is still considered DJing. Is it skilled?
Oh, yeah.
Is it skilled DJing? No, my iTunes can do that. And it's a software. So for me to say those really nasty words on this program, everyone's gonna be like, "Well, I'm gonna write to VRCDJLIVE and tell them that they're wrong." And I'm just like, "Well, again, if you think that it's correct, then try it, and look at the crowd response, see what they're gonna say. I promise you, the crowd response would love a huge backspin. They love spins, they love effects, they love echoes and reverbs and stuff like that. I would assume that they would want that more than a simple crossfade. To be fair, now if we were going to go into the nitty gritty of it, sure. However. And I know this conversation's super important to kind of bring up is over the fact we were just explaining how Furality is now this entity. Furality is a convention. People buy tickets to go. They have a massive following with a lot of attendees. If I were to go to do any sort of comparison, let's take a look at the comparison between Furality and Shelter, for example, right? Shelter is as its own entity. But you can't also tell me that 2TD is being meticulous over who's performing, where the location is, and how much tickets are going to be if you decide to go to ShelterCon. It's almost the same thing as the similar thing. You're just not having panels. You don't have shelter panels, and you have meetups, sure, but like they're all collectively doing something as well. But you can't also think that he hasn't had those conversations with himself to say, if this is a brand that I'm trying to represent, and this is a brand that I want to continue to push, even outside of VR, even in VR, that there has to be some sort of, a repertoire that you have to, a template that you have to kind of follow with that. Now, how can we aid in a better fixing of that? Communication with the DJs to say, hey, we want you to do better. Don't look at this as a negative thing. We want you to learn better skills. I think you guys also mentioned that you also had DJ panels at Furality as well. Maybe you want to explain a little bit about that, and we'll also dive into the video too, because I think the video is also a very important thing to pick up and understand better.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, just to be clear, when we do have panels at Furality, they're not like Furality issued panels like I'm coming to do a panel for you guys about how to get into Furality. Any DJ panels that have happened have been done by DJs who applied for a panel, who wanted to do a panel and share some knowledge and information. There is one happening this year. And some of the people who are judges on my team are helping host that panel, but it's not, a Furality sanctioned, this is how you get into Furality panel. It's just it's DJs who are, I would say, pretty skilled DJs just wanting to share some knowledge on, some advanced tips and tricks on how to take your DJing to the next level. But we don't have every year a panel for DJs to go sit in and we tell them how to apply for Furality.
Okay. So, I mean, as far as, thinking a little bit about that process again, and even being able to explain, I'm trying to think of a really good way to kind of bring this up, because it's very important to understand the different things that you have been able to notice, the way that the DJs were looking to approach this. But I think what we want to try to do is try to find a good resolution that people, common DJs in virtual reality, can continue on with for, like, let's just say the next 6 months. Because as we've stated before, if you want to become a DJ, give or take 9 months, it's either going to work or it doesn't, and then people are going to fizzle away. If you're garbage and if you practice garbage, then you'll be good at garbage. For less of a term, I'm not going to sit here and say the S word here on my stream, but that's just it though, is that you don't know that you're garbage. People are so afraid to tell you, people aren't going to tell you that you're garbage, but they're going to tell you that like that transition wasn't good, or people are upset when they're just like even at the beginning of the stream when no one could hear you, they're like, people are so hesitant to be like, oh, does he know that he can't hear the guests? Maybe we'll just let him kind of figure it out on his own. And I'm like over here being like, well, I'm talking to them. I can hear them. I don't know about you. So let's set this up. Let's just say you did get denied from Furality and you're having some struggles of identity of yourself as a DJ. If your stuff is good, what are the next steps for you in your eyes, on what to do for the future?
Yeah, I would say, first and foremost, ask for some feedback. You can definitely ask us for some feedback if you want. You can show, maybe you have some friends who are DJs, that you would, potentially, have them take a listen to it and say, hey, this is what I submitted. Do you hear anything that, you would change or you would do different or anything like that? But, also, um just continuing to, show up for different events and play other events and things like that. Furality's a huge deal, but it's not the end all be all. There's a lot of other really great events out there year round that you can absolutely play for and, continue practicing your skills. Um and I would also, challenge to show up to, like we were talking about earlier, show up to your friends' sets, show up to other people's sets, listen to what other people are doing and look at how people are reacting to what they're doing and see, oh, the crowd likes this, the crowd doesn't like this, or even how do you feel when you show up to another DJ? Is the DJ doing something that is like draining all of your energy and you're like, oh man, I can't wait for the set to be over? Or are you locked in and you're like, holy crap, that 60 minutes has flown by and I'm so locked in, it took me on a journey, I think just being perceptive as an artist, and also being true to yourself. Don't go and change what you're doing just because you think it's going to get you somewhere. If you have a passion for a certain type of sound and you like DJing a certain type of way and a certain type of thing, um, find a way to channel, that passion into what you're doing and break out of your box and build on your craft. But, don't sell yourself out to be like, I love DJing dubstep, but I feel like nobody's going to ever accept me to their event because dubstep's too harsh and crazy. I better, start learning to play house music so I can play some events. If you're not passionate about playing house music, uh, I can't recommend doing something like that because you're not going to make your best sets. You're not going to play your best sets. You're not going to do as good as you could do when you're doing something that you're fully into. So I would suggest, taking a moment to, look inward towards personal growth as an artist and just remembering that you're doing this, or at least I would think you should be doing this for yourself first and foremost. Um, as a creative, um, you want to share something that's personal to you. You're sticking yourself out there as an artist. And I know, hey, I get it. It sucks getting turned away from things. It always sucks. I've been doing it for a long time and, I'm able to, take it with a grain of salt, but it still definitely sucks, to somebody like me. Uh, but that's because you care about it. That's because it's something personal to you. So I think that feeling is an okay feeling to have, and you're totally valid to have that feeling, but don't let it stop you. Don't let it be the wall that stops you from continuing doing what you love.
That's honestly the hardest realest sound of advice. Honestly, when it comes to DJing, especially in here, is that one of the many things that you'll learn as a performer in virtual reality is, I feel like when you do perform in here, you have the 101 setup of like, you're going to get everything in here that you would at the club, at the bar. You'd have people in the front, you'll have drunkards, you'll have people telling you suck and you're terrible, and you have to kind of get over it. But you'll also find more challenging genres to perform, or more challenging ideas of how you want to perform those genres. Because, again, me coming in here, drum and bass was such a really big sound in here that it seemed like that was the first things that you needed to learn to do to be really good, or captivate an audience. When in reality, as I'm reading the comments in chat, is just that too. It's just like, let's just say you're really skilled at a specific thing. You may be the only person that's skilled at that specific thing, but at least people know that they can go to you for that specific thing when it's time to. It's tough because even though you're really good at that one specific thing, oh good, it's like everybody stopped moving for a moment. I was like, oh my gosh. Even though you're really good at that one specific thing, like
Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. It's just sometimes in VRChat, it's like as soon as everyone stops moving, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is it. We're over. We're done. But like once you're good at that one specific thing, like, and you're by yourself with it, like, then you don't have any competition. It's just you, and you're just you're kicking ass and you're having a good time with it. It could be a little lonely, sure, but once you are doing that, then you'll at least you'll be more comfortable over the idea that you're having a good time with it and being able to perform. Where am I getting at with this? Well, again, in VR, it's such a difficult time to do that because it's the quickest way to success in here is to lean on specific genres that will gain you a better notoriety because everybody's there and they're there to listen to that specific thing. Ultimately, sure, getting to know all of that is important and being a part of that is important. But also, again, kind of looking at that video, like we were explaining too, is, those little things, those little attributes to be able to have really good success with that. The way you set up your mix, the way you transition, the way you put in all the effects and building a journey, that also comes with practice and time with it as well. And the real hard truth of it, again, too, we keep going back to it, but it's important to understand, is this is a convention. This is an actual convention that you buy tickets to go to compared to anything else that you could be doing in here as well. I want to double down with that with a question for you when it comes to, let's just use FWA as an example. I think a lot of people apply for FWA because they want to get on main stage and they want to be a part of that. But they keep forgetting that it's a convention. It's a lot of people have flew in, they spent a lot of money to be there. And I think people keep forgetting that it's not a matter of you not getting on the stage, but what if you get on the stage and you drop the ball? Do you think those opportunities will come later on? Probably not. And the fear of that, I feel like there needs to be more of a fear of that than a I didn't get accepted, I guess.
Like, so you're saying, what if they're not ready for it or something like that?
Well, I feel like everybody is ready to do something, and I feel like I think if you hype yourself up, you can jump out of a plane and skydive.
Sure.
I don't think everybody can, but if you hype yourself up enough, and maybe if you have a couple of drinks, then maybe sure. Don't recommend that. Don't do that's not advice. But that's the same thing too. Is just like you really don't know. Coming. Gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. Beginner DJ with a Flex 4. Ain't nobody ready to be put you in front of CDJs. You get up on CDJs and you go, I don't want this. Put my Flex 4 back up. And you're like, You have to learn. And they're just like, and then they freak out a bit. Not everybody's ready for that. Not everybody's got $10,000 just to throw to CDJs either. So you can practice at home. I wouldn't recommend that either, because let's just say you get the 3,000, the new ones, the X's. Then you can spend even more for that. But like, I don't think it's the hard love. It's the hard realization that in VR chat we need to accept, and we have to acknowledge that this is happening, and being a part of that lineup is great, sure, but it shouldn't. You should continue on with your journey of better understanding. I guess that's the best way of explaining it.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. Like, we, as you kind of touched before, we have we're running a convention. We're trying to put together an experience unlike anything before, and we're always trying to raise the bar every year. And the DJs that apply are all trying to raise the bar every year as well. And, just it would be a disservice to the DJs that have honed their craft and really nailed their demo to, put somebody else in front of them who didn't. So that's just where that comes. And but as somebody who didn't get in, take the time to, like you said, continue to hone your craft. There's a lot of other opportunities out there, and there's a lot of other opportunities to try things and see where you land.
I want to take a moment over to Valant to kind of talk a little bit about VR to IRL applications. And I know we were kind of talking a little bit about this earlier before stream, being able to include more people in VJing and more volunteers, a better understanding of how to run these types of events, and even performing as a DJ. But being able to see the transition between performing for Furality and then performing for IRL physical conventions, how can we continue to push the idea of bridging the gap for the DJs that are looking to either perform for, like, get all the gym badges of all the fur conventions, or learn to escape the fur conventions to perform IRL somewhere else?
Man, yeah. So what I, and again, this is from my perspective, right? I tend to see a lot of the DJs in the VR space really focus in on a lot of hard skills, which I think is really cool, because they focus on, and again, in general, or just overgeneralizing here, but for the sake of the point, they tend to spend a lot of time understanding the skills behind DJing, like beat matching, mixing and key, phrasing, these things, and they get to become really solid DJs. And by the time they start applying to IRL conventions, they are just unstoppably good. Like they're pushing the skills forward, analogs to the the fursuit crafting space. They push that whole art form forward, and it's really cool to see that. I think that I'd encourage those people to keep refining their craft, to do that, to just keep on trying new things, refining their sound, and to keep applying to what they want to do. Do they want to play at conventions? Great, do that. Do they want to play to their friends on a Friday night? Yeah, absolutely, do that. It doesn't have to be anything that you don't want it to be, if that makes sense, right? Don't feel like you have to fit a mold just because you want to fit in. You want to get accepted somewhere. You don't have to sell your soul to the house gods. That's a joke. Or drum and bass, I guess, at this point. You don't have to do that.
It depends on who the house gods are.
I suppose so. Yeah, drum and bass was extraordinarily popular in our applications. We usually publish like a genre breakdown. We'll look at doing that again. But I would say just keep on with that foundation, and utilize your skills. The community will build itself up around you. You know, you'll find good people. You'll find friends that'll last you for a lifetime. You know, it's it's just keep that up. You know, and then you may find yourself in a space someday that you know, in a place where you're like, whoa. You look back and you'll be like, I've really come a long way. Um, I know a few DJs that have moved on to, you know, producing, you know, professionally as well, and they kind of got their starting in the VR scene, right?
Furality is happening June 4th through the 7th, and it's happening here in VRChat. And if you want more information on how to get tickets and come on out to see all the panels and all the different events that are going on, Furality.org is where you're going to be getting all that information. It always, I love the themes. Every time I see those themes, especially for the physical fur conventions and stuff like that. Obviously, the big draw this year for Ultra was gaming. What was there any sort of talks of reasoning why that was a thing, or?
Everyone's looking at me. So basically, what happens is, you know, a team gets together and they basically determine what the theme is, and that's pretty common for a convention, right? They'll kind of determine what theme they would like for the next convention to be, and then they storyboard it, they get ideas together, and then they may come up with several ideas, and they'll kind of iterate on those things until, you know, an idea gets, you know, fleshed out, and then that's what, you know, we're like, all right, cool, this is the theme, let's go with that. And in this case, it happened to be video gaming, but it was specifically for a very specific like range. I want to say it was like 2006 through like 2009, I believe it was. Like I'm thinking like Burnout 3, I believe, is from that era. That is one of my favorite games of all time. That game was awesome. But it is, it's something that the convention, like it's like a I kind of hate to use this term in this way because of the other connotations, but it's kind of like a queue, right? Like an AI queue, but that's not, you know, there's no AI anywhere in the you know, there's no generative AI, and furries are very sensitive towards like that kind of, you know, AI generation, because it especially takes away work from a talented artist. But it's kind of a cue to give the rest of the convention something to get their creative juices thinking about what they want to do. It's not necessarily a hard guideline, you know, so like the theming that you'll see in Club Fin will be, you know, based on that theme, you know, the clothing, the art style, because if it was like a retro gaming, it would be a very different, you know, pixelated art style than say like 2006, like Need for Speed Underground, you know, the yellow filter for, you know, all the games in that era, and all these other things. And I just realized that, I mean, a lot of us may not have even been born yet in that era.
Oh,
Oh my
man,
gosh.
you have to bring that up,
I
man.
thought of that.
Why do you guys
I'm
say
sorry.
that?
I'm sorry.
Cut that out. We don't need that.
Well, now they get to learn
Sorry.
about that era, right? They're what is a PS2? They have to go to they have to go to the GameStop to get their PS2 retro consoles.
Crumbling to
Blockbuster.
dust.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, Blockbuster. Oh man, so many things in that era. And I feel like for this theme especially, like nostalgia is such a powerful thing. this is a throwback, but I cannot express how much nostalgia there was an impact for returning to Luma for Aqua, right? It was Oceans of Luma. And nostalgia is a very powerful feeling. And I just love that we're able to explore that with this theme a lot.
Yeah.
So outside of just nostalgia and video gaming, it's also really fun to have such an audience here. Hi, guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Hey, friends.
it started with 2, and then it just started to grow, and I was like, well, that's kind of neat. But again, it's VRCDJLIVE. We're here. We got our live audience here, chiming in. Talk to us real quick about what we're expecting this weekend outside of, Club Fin is happening. That's going to be a really big time for everyone to enjoy music and socializing and dancing. But talk to us about some other things that Furality is going to be bringing this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we got meetups, tons of different meetups for different hobbies and interests, and species, things like that. You name it. We got meetups that are, they're basically suggested by the community. So a lot of community members come and do that sometimes, and we have a lot of events, like event panels, which are people sharing knowledge about things, people just doing dancing live, people bring their guitars and do live singing. There's things like that happening. There is like we talked about, there is a humongous market that you can run around in, there, and it's all sectioned out. You got 2D artists, you got model makers, you have VR asset makers. It's all sectioned out in this really cool place, and everybody has their little space that they can market their items that they sell, and you can go and make purchases right there in world. It's all very convenient and really sleek and fun. And man, what else am I missing? Obviously Club Fin. What else am I missing about it?
We talked about meetups for a lot of different subjects, like you said, species meetups and interest meetups. Events, we have a live stage that performers will perform on, and usually there's something going on in the lobby too. During Umbra, there was a solar eclipse, which was really cool. I won't spoil anything, but definitely go check out the worlds and see what you can see in there.
I feel like solar eclipse, I feel like you have to kind of sit there for a long time to see what the weather changes to be able to see it happen, and it's just it depends on how long you could be sitting in there physically to. Is that what you're trying to?
Well, it was kind of cool because it actually changed over the weekend. So it was persistent over the whole period of the weekend. And near the end of the convention, I believe on Sunday, is when the eclipse actually happened. It was actually a dual star solar system, and the two went over top of each other. And that's when the celebration of this festival was celebrating that during that eclipse. It was really cool. So they're immensely talented team. They're always doing really cool stuff. That they're making this cohesive world. I will tell you, if you get up high enough in the dealer world, you can actually see the other worlds on the horizon. Cool stuff like that. They do a ton of work to make the convention feel like it's a single universe, right? All of these different worlds and events kind of coexist together.
I'm just excited to be able to just go and hop around and take a look. It's tough for me to even go to FWA because I can't even get to the dealer's den. So now is an opportunity. You have to make a reservation system just to kind of get into the thing. And for here, it's just a matter of you just walking around. But
on Sunday, that's my secret.
To go on Sunday, for FWA, yeah.
For FWA,
right.
Biggest benefit of Furality is there is no elevators.
Oh, that too. Yes. Yeah. I mean, everyone loves a good elevator, and you could do some really good shots and stuff, but nobody ain't got time to jump in an elevator to break an elevator so nobody else can use it. That's for sure. It's VRCDJ Live. We're sitting here with Razr and Valant of Furality, and kind of coming out to the bottom of the interview. It's been kind of flowing so much, and at the same time, I don't want to sit here and beat the dead horse of just being like, let's kind of continue to dig deeper into the DJs and all that sort of stuff. But we'll get to it when we get, we'll get to see what the DJs do, and we'll go support them and enjoy the whole convention. So as we're kind of coming on down to the bottom of the show, we do tend to happen to have a rapid fire of questions that I did not include for you guys. And if you watch the show, you probably know what the questions are usually entailing. But if you don't, then joke's on you. It's the first time you get to hear about it. But so out of everything that we've kind of talked about on the show today about building convention and even volunteering and working on staff to even just like as we alluded to with the DJs and applications and stuff like that, what's a really good sound of advice for anybody that wants to either be a part of Furality, attend Furality, volunteer for Furality, or have a better understanding about the DJ scene within Furality?
I would say, the DJ scene within Furality mirrors just the furry DJ scene as a whole. I say pretty well that, is happening throughout the rest of the year. So, attending Furality, attending other events, things like that, having conversations with people, getting involved in those ways is a great gateway to find out other ways that you can get involved. But yeah, just literally coming to Furality. We're going to have a Twitch stream going on that is showing a lot of the events happening. I think we have we have a Twitch stream doing the events, and then we have a stream on Mixcloud that's showing the club 24/7. And it's like, so even if you don't show up in World, there are ways where you can check it out and see, is this something I want to dip my feet into and come find out what's going on? You can browse around before you buy. So come check it out and talk to people. That's the best thing I could say. Obviously, if you want to get involved as a volunteer, we have openings that we list on our website at Furality.org. You can go and check and see what positions are open throughout the year. When we're looking for them, we'll advertise them and stuff like that. But even just, talking to staff that you see walking around, a lot of the time our group will be, showing that we're Furality staff during the con. So don't be shy to come up to any of us and just, have a conversation, ask what's going on. If you have particular interests that you'd like to, get involved with, just talk to somebody in staff, especially, and we can point you in the right direction. If at the very least we can, tell you, or get you in touch with the people who are on the teams that work around those things and get you connected. And whether or not you'll be immediately thrown on staff or not, you'll definitely have that networking experience, and there's lots of things that our staff members do throughout the rest of the year that you could also tag along with, and it's all just a gateway from there.
What about the Discord? Is there a lot of action going on with the Discord, or helpful tools for the people that are brand new there too?
Oh yeah, constantly. It gets very busy during this time, but there's a lot of communications that happen on the Discord server. We do some videos, like usually we do like a safety video that explains to you how to set up your settings in VRChat. We have a very active help channel and a very very good team that is monitoring that all the time around the convention. And again, super grateful that they're willing to do it, because if I did, I would not have enough time to do anything else. It's relentless. Discord's good for that. But yeah, check it out. Check out
Do we have new
Furality.org.
player nights going on anymore, or are those all done?
I believe don't quote me, I think there's one more, and you can find that on the Discord as well. There's a section for I think new player nights. Good question, but
Yeah.
I believe so.
We host a thing leading up to Furality. We have multiple ones of these in the months before Furality. We call New Player Night, and it's geared towards people that are like newer to VR to help people who are interested get like accustomed to being on VR. And we have people that open up an instance and we show them the ropes of VR, show them how to get around, show them ways to tailor their experience where like shields, earmuff mode, things like that a lot of new players have no idea about, that is really a lifesaver. So we do those as well, but I mean, you don't have to be a new player, new to VR to show up. You can, show up if you're just interested in the convention, and I'm sure that would be a great place too.
That's a really good idea, especially if you're going to spend all weekend in here just putzing around too, and going to see all the things that's going on here. I normally ask this in the form of Spotify, but I've learned that not everybody listens to Spotify, so we're going to use that as the end of Spotify. What are some things that you guys are listening to constantly on Spotify, like artists, and what are some new people that you've been listening to on Spotify?
Oh man, oh man, oh man, I'm on the spot. I listen to so much music. Oh my god. I mean, Hamdi's a huge one that I've been listening to. A lot of the new 140 craze that has been going on in the DJ scene. So it's kind of like low end trap, dubstep, bass music, sort of like really deep wubby vibes. I love all that stuff. So yeah, anything Wakan, Hamdi. I've been getting into the trippy psychedelic bass. So LS Dream is huge, Closey, Liquid Stranger, all that stuff. I love it. And I still fuck with Skrillex, so I will put on Skrillex without doubt. Virtual Riot, Eliminate, stuff like that. New people though, I just found out of an artist. I was watching the EDC stream, I think 2 weekends ago from EDC Las Vegas, and I found an artist named Sippy, and they were actually awesome. So I've definitely been listening to some of their stuff lately.
Oh man, I love drum and bass. um, I I really love the drum and bass. I went to the UK last year, and my favorite part of the trip was going to a small club, and there was a drum and bass DJ playing, and we just had the time of our lives. I was like in the heart of the UK, listening to drum and bass, this genre that like I had heard of a few years prior, and I just I could not get enough of it. Like the drop hits, like you get that little hang time and then you hit the drop. I can't help but get goosebumps from it. Like it's a full physical uh experience. I mean, I really do like, the main stage producers, like Muzz. I love Metric, Dimension, Sub Focus, a lot of those like big, big names, Fox Stevenson, you know, um,
You have to.
yeah, like it's just there's just something about this energy. It's just so it's funny. I was doing a little bit of a like a we had like a DJ meetup a few days ago in Discord, and we were just talking about some hard skills about DJing, like things to think about. It's so funny because I went through a lot of these drum and bass songs that I have, and it's literally the same waveform copied twice between the first and the second piece. And I did this literally 30 times, and it was the same one. I'm like, look, it's okay. The structure is not where the like the interest is. It's almost like rigidly structured to be that way, but it's all about the doubling and the tripling, and just I don't know. Call me an addict, but I can never get enough of that, that kind of growl, that kind of sound. And I've just been keeping up with a lot of the main stage drum and bass artists in the space.
All of those names are very important, especially for those that are looking to get into drum and bass. Obviously, Sub Focus is just a madman for the past couple of years, and Dimension, besides his smoking habits. you know.
I know.
I mean, he's up there kind of, he's smoking
All the time.
all the
Yeah.
time, and then whatever powers you, man, whatever gets you through. Speaking about smoking, here's a controversial question for you. Who are your top 3 favorite VRChat DJs?
Oh, jeez.
I know. I
Oh,
always gotta ask it.
no.
Yeah, we talk about Club Finn, yada yada.
That's crazy. I'm
Oh, that's
going
like
through a tunnel. My Wi-Fi is going out.
that's like asking who my favorite child is.
Yeah, that's really really hard. I have to say,
Doll for me, please. Doll.
one of my favorites I would have to say is my wife, Reverie. Gotta name drop her. She's
Oh,
killing
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely killing it. Man, I don't like this. I hate that you did this to me.
Yeah, but
This is the
I
hardest
gotta-
I'm
question
like
of the night.
Nardwar. Everybody's got to
sucks.
know.
This sucks. I gotta name drop a good friend of mine just over at my house a little bit ago. Echo, they're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out. And I don't know. Man, can I do 2 more?
Sure.
Am I
Yeah.
allowed to do 2 more?
You can do as many as you
Um,
want, as long as it's not all of them on the lineup.
I gotta drop Low Prov. Low Prov is absolutely insane. Wonderful person, wonderful DJ. Absolutely love that bean. And like Value Factory is an insane person. They do so much behind the scenes at Furality, and they are a absolutely incredible DJ and performer and producer and just all of it. So yeah, shout out to all of them.
Oh, man. There's the camera right there. Oh, this is really hard. So I'm gonna have to echo Razr with Value Factory because I have never met a more like locked in, and like I have never met somebody with a like stronger work ethic, and that carries them through so much, so many projects, right? And like that's something that like I aspire to, because like I said before, I'm only flesh and blood, right? And I have to feed this flesh and blood uh every so often, right? So I really look up to him. I wish I could be like that all the time. That's what I aspire to in terms of like the locking in ability and the work ethic, like and he's proven that through everything that he works on in every project. Man, number 2 is and these aren't ranked in like order of importance. They're just, number 2's got to be Low Prof for me. I cannot think of someone who has had more of a positive impact on the space. I try to ask uh, as many people as I can during Furality, like who are they excited to see, or which DJ are they most interested in seeing, or who do they love the most? And consistently, it has been Low Prof by far. And he's just had such a positive impact on the space and inspired so many people. And you go talk to him, and he's the most down to earth guy, right? I shared a Guinness with him at AFC. I picked him up from the airport, and I had just had a full cup of like coffee, Starbucks, and then we shared a Guinness. And I've never felt sicker in my life. Lesson learned. But like it's wonderful to like you can go talk to these people, these DJs you've heard so much about in the space, and they're just super chill, and I love that. I love seeing people be like that in the space, right? We all want to do cool things with chill people, right? And Low Prof to me is just the epitome of that. And I have to make a third one, number 3, not make, but like I have to come up with this. Oh my god. Oh, geez.
It's brutal.
No, it's rough. Oh, this is hard. So I, man, I I think it's Linksy because um, one of the first years we had back from the pandemic was MFF, and Linksy performed on stage, and it was just all of us behind him, a bunch of people. It was a bunch of the VR people on a Thursday night, and we were all just celebrating and just having an amazing time. Our friend got in, and we were just the support was felt in the entire room. I got on somebody's shoulders. We almost died. It was no, I'm kidding. We were fine, but it was a great time. And I that was just one of that just encompasses the entire experience to me because we met in a VR space together and we'd been friends for years and we got to meet each other and hang out. And this is a total throwback to the beginning of our conversation. Like the people that you meet in VR, and you get to form these really strong bonds with them, and then you meet them in real life, and you're like, oh man, you're just as cool in real life as you are in VR. And Linksy, I'll never forget that night. I never will. That was one of the coolest. That was one of the coolest nights of my life.
Really good incentive for those of you that are looking to go to Furality this year, coming up next weekend. I know it said something about this weekend, but it's next weekend. That'll at least give you an extra week to kind of get ready for all of the chaos and mayhem and all of the very fun things that you get to also experience, just like our friends here too. I'm going to give you one more, and you guys are going to work together on this one. What we like to try to do is put together the VRChat Rave Bingo card. So what 5 spaces would you need to put down for the VRChat Rave Bingo card? And you can use the free space if you want to.
Oh no.
5 spaces to get bingo.
Oh no! You know
somebody sleeping in a corner.
Yes, 100%. This one, I hate saying this, but number 2 is VRChat goes down.
Seems like a regular weekend, yeah.
Outage. You know what? Let's generalize to outage. Outage. It doesn't matter what the nature, just outage. Let's do that instead.
Outage, yeah. VRChat bingo or rave bingo. Let's see. I would say a snowflake blizzard.
That's fair. That's good.
Yes, snowflake blizzard. Yeah. Somebody starts a howl. I have seen that before.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
We're on the last one.
It was they went to someone, they said start how to howl, and the other guy's like, it's 3 a.m. I am not howling. It wasn't that I'm not gonna howl, that's cringe. It's 3 a.m.
Dang. I'm gonna say the DJ loses tracking.
That's always
DJ loses.
That was
tracking.
also a very good one, yeah.
That is
Sweet. Yeah, that works for me.
Oh no. Is there? Do I have to come up with the last? Oh crap!
Oh no, that's 5. So you guys already got.
Oh, that is 5. We're good. We're good.
You're good.
Yes.
Nice. Awesome. So before we get on out of here, where can we find Furality on the internet?
Furality.org. And if you are interested in joining Furality, apply.furality.org. Generally, there are positions that open up afterwards. So, but take a look around there, see if there's anything interesting that you'd like to, be a part of this. Otherwise, no pressure. Just enjoy the convention. It is there to enjoy. And I hope that if you see either of us around there, that you'll stop us and say hi.
Guys, I'm very excited. This will be my first Furality to not only perform but actually to be there. So I'm excited to see what the weekend's going to bring, and hopefully hang out with you guys and get to know Club Finn some more.
Yeah, we're excited to see you there and for your first experience. Like, I'm not just saying it because it's our thing, but like it is a life-changing experience for a lot of people, and I hope it is for you too.
As long as people don't come up to me and hassle me, be like, "You're the guy from Drinking That." Like, oh, well, yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, I'm sure that seems like a regular
get it.
occurrence in here anyway. But guys,
You're gonna get it.
thank you so much for coming on VRC DJ Live. It's a real pleasure. We hope to get you back on real soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thanks.
you having us.
All right, and that's going to do it for us for our episode of VRC DJ Live. Of course, if you're looking for more information about Furality, Furality.org to get your tickets and to be able to link up your VRChat account and all that other stuff. It's very user-friendly. I recommend for you to check it out. Normally, at the end of our episodes leading into the next month, we have an update for you for June, but June's not quite done yet, and I will say expect more information about our upcoming guests for June up on our X and Blue Sky at VRCDJLIVE. Of course, we're up on Instagram as well, where we share highlights as well as full replays on YouTube at VRCDJLIVE. If you're looking to become a guest or you know someone that would love to be on the show to talk about our community as well as community organizers and clubs by themselves, we have all that information for you via our Google Forms that are up on the Linktree at VRCDJLIve. A lot of stuff going on per usual, of course, so make sure you're just following us all over the socials and be on the lookout next week for an updated schedule for June. So, for Razr and Valant of Furality and the VRC DJ Live staff behind the glass, I'm Rob Roman. Thank you guys for coming by to the show, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.